Check. Am I too loud? Going on? What's the word? What's the word? Welcome to another Hope edition. It's going to be a fire class again. Um, my name is Courtney Smith and Nana Kofinti, and we're going to rock out today. So it's going to be another great class. The theme again is back to basics. So we're going to talk a lot about basic ideas. Please do not confuse simplicity and basic ideas with easy, because inside of entrepreneurship and in life in general, a lot of times the most simplest concepts and thinking can be the hardest, can be the most difficult to apply. So please do not confuse the two, because that can create a lot of confusion, especially in our intellectuals. When I say the word getting rich is easy, getting wealthy is easy. It's simple. It's actually true. Becoming a millionaire is very simple. It's not hard at all. I mean, it's very basic and simple. Now, what makes it difficult is the humanness in us, the decision making, the big great ideas that we have, the lack of discipline, the lack of will, the lack of purpose, the lack of clarity, um, getting duped, getting swindled, getting talking out of the stuff, getting manipulated out of it. Like all those things is what make it so tough. But the actual simplicity of making millions of dollars is easy. I mean, it's simple, super simple. So remember, back to basics. But basics, you like that's where the first half of this class comes into play, because in order for you to actually execute on the basics, you need your mind to be strong. You need emotional agility. You need self-discipline. You need to be able to process thoughts and emotions. You need to be able to take emotions and move them certain places as you need be. So back to basics, and it's gonna be to me, these are my favorite. These are my favorites. I love these because I learned from the basics. Court had the remedial slow people class in high school, so I need things broken down into small little chunks so I can digest them. But the easier it is for you to digest, the easier it is for you to apply it and regurgitate it, because your brain knows the concept forwards and backwards, backwards and forwards. So, y'all ready? This class is gonna get intense a little bit too. I'm excited. I'm excited about it. It's gonna get intense. It's gonna challenge you and give you some truths. So let's recap. Last week we talked about manual mode being on. So for those who don't remember, manual mode means when life ain't working for you and you are stuck in survival mode and you are stuck in scarcity mode, you are, Shabisha, compromised. You are compromised like a motherfucker. So when you are compromised, is it a time to be lax? Is it a time to be casual? Or is it like red alarms are going off? Remember that. That's the term, keep that same energy. When you are compromised, you keep that energy, because you don't know what kind of shit that you fucking up in your business, in your personal life, everything. Have anybody that you've ever cared about deeply or been really close to, one day your emotions were compromised and you went off on them and you felt hella bad because of somebody you really cared about? And you may have lost that friendship, or you maintained it, but it never was quite the same. Because now they look at you like, damn, you would do that to me? Okay. And you know it internally, fucked up. Because you were compromised. And you didn't take the necessary steps of being compromised once you knew you were compromised to isolate yourself. You understand? So in business or in life, when you know that most of us in this room and most of us online, whether you realize it or not, you are some sort of compromised right now. It's that real shit. And so the energy you need when you compromise is a completely different energy. Ha, I'm chilling. Ha ha. Yeah, we've been. No, you are compromised. If I told you that somebody at your job is a serial killer, you don't know who it is, but there's one person inside your building that's a serial killer. Do you have to go to training? Do you have to learn? Do you have to read books in terms of knowing how to move differently from that point forward? No, everything's on alert, right? Anybody coming up to you, you like, is it you? I mean, where was you last night? Now your everything changes how you move just from that data, not from no extra training, from that data. Because now everything's the sensory acuity is turned on, and now you're acutely aware of any minute changes because your life depends on it. That's what I'm talking about, manual mode. Because somebody's like, well, how do you go on manual mode? Man, you go. You go. Because just by knowing that you're compromised, that's all the go you need. Oh shit, I'm compromised. Another illustration. If I was to say, somebody in here has the most deadliest version of COVID in the room right now, do you need extra training? No, the room is compromised. You're leaving, you're putting a mask on, like you're taking steps. People come up to you, whoa, 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 whoa. Hey, stay there. Right? You don't need no extra training. You know what to do. So, because we a lot of times live in scarcity and survival mode so much, the fact that we're compromised brings down our alertness and our awareness. The Vietnam are really intelligent folk. So during the Vietnam War, what they do to the soldiers is they wait till they fall asleep, get close to being sleepy. And the Vietnam soldiers in North Vietnam would come and make these scary, crazy noises around the camp where the soldiers were sleeping. And the soldiers would get up with their guns and look around. Nothing would happen. So then they go back to sleep. And the next night, they do it again. And they get up. Nothing would happen. After doing that 4 or 5 nights in a row, when the banging and crazy sounds happen, the soldier would be like, don't trip. That's just nothing. And the North Vietnam will slaughter them all in their sleep. Because repetition can make you forget you're compromised. Repetition can make you forget you're compromised. You know, like Nana talked about last week in class, if you got a scratch on your shit, fix it. Car's compromised. You walk past that scratch, walk past it again, your brain will actually just forget it's there. It's compromised. And then once it's compromised, it tracks new dings and dents, and next thing you know, your shit is all. I'm gonna save my F word for 30 minutes from now. but fucked up. You see what I'm saying? So in life, when we're compromised and we're on the edge, we're on the edge of our bank account, we're on the edge of running out of gas, we're on the edge of our phone dying, we're on the edge. We play the edge game so much that it becomes normal for us. And then when something happens bad, we're like, "Why, God? Why is this happening to me?" It's because we were compromised from the gate. Manual mode on is simply the awareness that you're compromised. Oh shit, I'm compromised. I was telling Shakina before class started, I'm still cleaning shit up from my survival mode as I came to. And I'm running around, who did this shit? This is the dumbest shit ever. They're like, you did it, Court. When? 3 months ago. Nuh-uh, hell no, because it's like a whole nother human did it. Show me the email. I will forward you the email. Damn. So I'm finding these little bombs that I set in, because that's what happens. Your IQ drops. I'm cussing everybody out, and it ended up being me. So, and once you raise out of that spectrum, you're a different human, and the world is different to you. So because you're no longer compromised. So manual mode on. When you have to have the strength to step away. Have to have the strength to take a deep breath. Manual mode means, okay, there's 10 steps here. Step one, let me make sure. Let me ask them, is this good? Is this good? Yep, this is good. Okay. Yep, I took my time. This is the best decision to make moving forward. Nana's the best at it. Hey, I called somebody and I'm like, I didn't do that because I know that I'm triggered in the moment, so I waited. Ask somebody. That's all. That's emotional agility during times of duress and stress. That's where you want to be. Emotional agility in times of duress and stress, to go against the current of your emotions to make that shit, to make the best decision and the best move. Next thing, activating alive time during dead time. Again, this is how you warp time. See, how you warp time is not by blocking out hours upon hours in the next 24 hours. You know that there's dead time and alive time. And in times of dead time, you merge the two. You create alive time. If I'm sweeping the floor and I'm listening to the best finance book I ever listened to in my life, and I just learned how to save and generate money, was I sweeping the floor or was I listening to a audio book? I was listening to an audio book and just happened to be sweeping the floor at that point. I was learning how to become a better money manager, and I just happened to be sweeping the floor with the other 10% of my energy. Fill the gaps with that. But when you in the moment, be in the moment. When you with your kids, be with your kids. When you chilling, chill. But when you texting or when you typing or when you working, work. Be in those spaces. But if you find yourself in spaces where, I'm only using 10% of my energy. My eyes are closed. I could do this with my eyes closed. 10% of myself. You're entering into dead time. And if you want to really live, then always look for ways to offset and backfill it with a lifetime. There's a saying. Well, I'll save that. Now, next slide. What I was going to talk about this slide here, but there's so much meat to this. This is probably will take up half the class. So I'm going to save this for next week because to me, this is a fire concept. And I think it deserves more than just time on the slide. And we got a lot to do. So just remember it though. Boys in the hood and entrepreneurship. Next slide. So this is another harsh truth. Entrepreneurship at the end of the day is about numbers. There's a lot of talk about passion, emotion, love, giving, what I want, being a boss, not wanting nobody telling me what to do, social status, social currency, like all of those currencies that people envelop themselves with. Successful entrepreneurship at the end of the day is about numbers. So if you ain't about numbers, I can guarantee you your shit ain't gonna pop off or last. You gotta be about them numbers. You have to. There's people who work hella hard and sell hella shit, and at the end of the day, they don't even know how much they made. Wait, hold on. How much did I make? What are your profit margins? What are your profit margins? How much time are you spending? And at least come to an understanding of it, because at the beginning of entrepreneurship, yeah, you're gonna be working. You're gonna do the math, and it's gonna be $4 an hour or whatever the fuck it is. At the beginning of entrepreneurship, that's just how the shit goes. But some of y'all have been doing it for years and don't even know that, and are offended if we were to say, "Wait, time out. Wait, show me. You know, you're only working like $6 an hour, right?" And almost want to throw sand in your eyes after you say that. How dare you expose my truth to me? You got to know your numbers. And the beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing about numbers is the miracle of compound interest. With compound interest, 1 plus 1 does not equal 2. 1 plus 1 does not equal 2. You can put say $12,000 a year into a savings account that accrues interest of about, say, 11.9 or 12% a year. You know, in 15 years, it'll be 100 and some thousand. In 20 years, it'd be like 600,000. 25 years, it'd be $1 million. Just 12 grand a year. That's the beauty of compound. Once you start learning numbers and knowing numbers, numbers become it becomes a beautiful art form in itself. But you got to live in the numbers. What's my numbers? How many hours am I working? How can I be smarter? You got to become a nerd. And we'll talk about it in the next slides as to why this is important. Because being good at what you do pales in comparison to knowing your numbers. Next slide.
You need to be, can you all hear me? Okay. You need to be able to take an act. You don't hear me?
Your test.
You need to be. You need to be able to take an accurate. You need to be able to take an accurate look at yourself and every aspect of your life at any moment. Can you handle the truth?
So let's correlate these two. Truth is the equivalent to numbers in life. I'm going to say it again because it's kind of abstract. But truth is the equivalent to numbers in life. Because the beautiful thing about numbers is numbers, they do not change. They are what they are. They don't lie. Men lie, women lie, hella people lie, but numbers don't. Numbers don't. Now, that is not necessarily true for data. Data can lie because it could be obscure, or it could be relative, or it can have other the data cannot be accurate. So you always be careful when you're looking at data. But numbers themselves, a one is a one. It's going to be a one. It never is not going to be a one. And if it's not a one, then now it's a two. But you need to have the ability to take accurate looks at yourself in every aspect of your life at any moment. If not, then ego has taken over the perception of yourself, and now you can be walking around looking crazy. Or you can be in such a delusional state that you think you're here and you're actually over there and down here. And depending on your circle, nobody's going to say anything. Because either they're delusional too, or they're scared of you because you got yes people around you. But the first person, I'm woo-woo, right? So, Egyptian Book of the Dead, first, law number 1, know thyself, right? Know thyself. I was looking for some like real deep shit. Know yourself. Every aspect of yourself. What finger is bent crooked a little bit? What little thing you got going on with your elbow? What eye is good? What eye is bad? Like every single aspect of yourself. What triggers you? What don't? But then once you know yourself, then you can have super accurate assessments of yourself. Again, it's not all the time about being intellectual. Intellectuals, you just have a language for what's going on. Intellectuals give you a language for what's going on around you. You got a title for everything. Well, that's actually you're this and that. Now I'm feeling that. Oh, dopamine just hit my brain, and now it's going down into my neural receptors. And that doesn't mean you actually have the ability to execute in the best way on it. It gives you a language, and it's dope to have a language. It's dope to have a language, but don't rest on the language. The majority of your energy has to be in the actual action. But in order to do that, you gotta know yourself. You gotta know certain situations to stay away from. Hey, 10 out of 10 times, I failed. I failed at that. I failed being around those people. My self-control was 0, 10 out of 10 times. So the survey says for me, I'm not ever going over there. You got to know yourself. If you don't, then you're susceptible to fall into certain traps. But the question for you is, can you handle your truth? Can you actually handle truth about yourself, about your business, about your life? Can you handle truth? Do you think you can? I got head nods. Okay.
70%. 60.
Okay. Well, we're going to see. Well, let's go to the next slide then. We're going to see. Let's play the truth game. I need a volunteer. Now, let me explain the game. This is the truth game. I need you to come up here, sit next to me. Well, no, you can stay there. You're going to talk about your business, where it's at, whatever details you want to share. And this is how you play the game. Anybody in this audience can ask you a question about your business, and you have to tell them 100% truth. Bet. Shall we play? Let's do it. Can you tell us your name, sir?
Yes, my name is Javon Batiste. Hello, everyone.
Javon, thank you for playing the game.
Yes, sir.
Tell me a little bit about yourself and your business and what you're doing entrepreneurially.
Right now, I'm a project manager because I put my business to the side. Or I do it on the side as well, but my business is ultimately to the side while I'm in school to get my contractor's license, which I take my test in August. But I am a general contractor and to be. But right now, I'm currently a project manager and I run someone else's business with him.
So you're a project manager and you run someone else's construction business?
Yes, and I also have my own construction business as well.
So you have your own construction business, you help someone run theirs.
Yes, sir.
And you are in college.
Yes.
Okay. And tell me about some of the successes of them.
My business, right?
Yeah.
Okay. My business, the success I've had is I get a lot of clientele, but I could say we're talking about success right now. So let's say I get a lot of clientele very easily due to the fact that I do good work and people love referring me to their friends and their clients, with other people that they know. I've learned to price myself, what I'm actually worth. I actually love what I do. So I could just start with that for right now.
How long you been doing it?
I would say I started my business in 2019.
Okay. Questions from the audience.
If you had to identify one thing that was holding you back in your business, what would that be?
We don't have two mics. Oh, it's not set up? Okay.
Scoot this way real quick. You said if it was what again? If I can what?
If you had to identify one thing in your business you're doing wrong that would make it better, like that's holding you back, what would that be?
I can say the biggest thing that would make me step back from my business, like to the point where I'm at now, was because I was not managing my time well. I wasn't pricing things out properly. I was accepting more jobs than I can actually handle within my bandwidth, and I was definitely like a yes man in the beginning. I was terrible. Yeah, I was terrible.
Okay.
Can you define a lot?
A lot.
And quantify it?
Good question.
A lot, as in what?
Customers.
You said you had a lot of customers. Can you define it?
Well, I was never without work. So like
quantify
is
like numbers.
Numbers? No. I can't. I never kept track of that stuff. So that's one thing too. I didn't keep track of anything. Like materials, how many clients I had and stuff like that. I didn't quantify. I didn't actually keep a number. So I really don't know how many clients I had. But I would say just to like I would say over like since 2019, I've had over like 60 clients. I would say that just like around that number. I don't really know 100%, but I would say at least average 60 since 2019.
Question for me: what's your average ticket?
A year? Annual?
No, average job ticket.
It all depends because I did small and big jobs. So average, I would say around like $5,000.
Okay. Can somebody do that math?
Is that 3,500?
35,000. So from 2019 to now, you've made about $35,000.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. More questions?
He said 5,000.
His average ticket.
That's not that.
He said 60 clients, right? Or is it 60 jobs a year?
No, 60 clients
No,
between 2019 and now.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So since 2019, in 4 years, you made $35,000.
No, that's not accurate.
So he said he had 5, so it's 300,000 divided by what, 4?
Oh, that's 300. Yeah, somebody said somebody do the math. Oh, that's 360,000.
But that's he said he made $5, 300,000. The $300,000 he made over 60 clients.
Yeah, over 60 clients
In 4 years.
In 4 years, yes, in 4 years.
Can somebody do the real math for us?
Per year, yeah.
$75,000 a year.
$75,000 a year.
Okay.
Yes, that definitely was.
Yeah.
Yes, you definitely know your shit.
So you average about $75,000 a year.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah.
More questions.
If you're not monitoring your materials versus labor, what's your profit margin?
Ooh, good question.
That definitely was a problem because when I first started doing my business by myself in 2018. I quit working for somebody, and then I was like, I'm just gonna jump in head first. And I would say in the first year, I wasn't making much profit due to the fact that I was messing up a lot, and I would have to actually pay for jobs. You know what I'm saying, and have to fix with my mistakes. And then I also then when I would get somebody to help me, they didn't know what they were doing, so I'm just paying them to do nothing. So a lot of the profit I didn't keep. A lot of that went back into materials, and I spent over like $60,000 in tools. So I got a lot of tools.
What was your profit margins? Do you know any of your profit margins in any year?
I would say I started actually calculating my profit margins this year. So far this year, I've made like $20,000 just from the jobs that I did do, profit.
So what's that in percentages?
And percentages of what?
How much you made total versus how much you made profit?
Gross and profit.
Yeah.
Gross. I would say since majority of the let's do a quick.
If it's
I would say
75,000.
you said 20. You said 20.
27% if it's 75,000. If I assume 75.
If it's still the same thing, 27%. Is that what you're saying? If it's based off of $75,000 a year?
Yes.
Unless
That would assume that you did 75,000 so
if
far.
you don't make any more money this year, though.
Yes.
Yeah. No, because this year I made the most actually in a year, and within 6 months is now. You know what I'm saying? So I would say so far I've made this year profit was 20,000, but calculating the whole thing I've made around like $60,000.
All right. Next question.
How much do you spend in time and or dollars on marketing?
0. I don't market my stuff. It's all word of mouth. Everything is word of mouth.
Time?
Time on market. You said time.
No, you don't do any in word of mouth.
Yes.
How much time are you spending getting your name out there?
Well, I guess when I work, and then people refer me, that's the only time I put in. Other than that,
That's
like,
it.
yeah, I don't have any ads or anything. All I have is just references from other clients.
Next question.
So you said you're a student and you're a project manager. How do you divide your time between being a student or project manager and doing all that work?
Well, school for a general contractor is just on your own time. So like you don't really have to go to school for it. It's just preparing me for taking my state test, because I already have the required amount of hours needed and experience needed to be able to take the test. So while I work during the day, and then after I get off work, I spend about 3 hours a day at the nighttime studying my books and all my material, and then that's pretty much how I balance that out. And I only do side jobs on the weekends, so like Saturday and Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not being intentional about the message that's being put out to represent your business, how are you seeing blind spots for if you're doing something wrong, getting feedback, or ways to frame your market for your benefit?
Can you repeat the question, please?
If you're not being intentional, I'm gonna simplify. If you're not being on purpose about your marketing, how are you positioning yourself to get future business or see mistakes?
Yes. So that is the reason why I completely stepped back. Like as of, I would say for the last 2 months, I haven't been doing work on the weekends. I've been mostly focused on other things and just schooling purposely, because I was not doing any of the stuff y'all asking me about. I wasn't managing my business well. But that's why I said this is the most I've made in this year, because in the beginning of the year I was just getting a lot of jobs, but I wasn't managing well. But I still made a good profit just based off of the experience that I had prior. But, go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead. What was you gonna say?
So you've made 60,000 in 4 months.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and then yes, just from based off that job, yes, just $60,000 from that job, yes, from those 4 months of work, yes, from my business.
How are you managing potential client inquiries?
How am I managing potential client inquiries?
So when someone refers you,
Yeah, I get
what's
you.
the process for you taking in those inquiries and determining who is a right fit for you and who's not?
So usually, if somebody refers me, they give them my number. They give me a phone call. We talk about what they want done. I usually come out to the job if it's a nice sizable job. I come through, scan a job, give them a bid, and we go from there. So the way I base off their good client is through the conversation that we have in person, and then go ahead. You got a question? You got something to say? You got a
Well, I
little
was going
question.
to ask about like specifics that you look for, and then also how you manage the time. If somebody says, "I want you to come in this week versus next week versus 2 months from now,"
So I base that. Okay, so usually I base that off of my schedule. So like, I have a job, and then I make sure it's either in between. Like after I get off of work, I get off work at 4 o'clock every day. So I'll say I can, depending on where it's at. Usually it's either it's usually in the Bay Area. That's my stomping grounds is the Bay Area. So if I can schedule within, I don't do the same day or the next day. I either do like I'll come next week, or on the weekend. It's usually my availability. That's how I'll be able to process that. And as far as figuring out what's a good client, I don't know a good client until I actually meet them and know what they actually want.
I have a question.
Yes.
What would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 as an entrepreneur?
1 to 10, probably like a 4.
4.
Yeah.
Where would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in self-discipline?
4.
4?
Yeah.
Where would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10 in terms of ability to generate revenue?
Oh shit, like an 8. I can definitely get some money.
Where would you Where would you rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 10?
Yes.
As a marketer?
Oh, I'm a great marketer. 8. I got a gift of gab. I got a nice face, so I can get us some money.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next questions online.
Online says, what percentage of your customers have been returning?
Have been returning? Ooh, that's a good question. I would say out of all of those clients, I would say around like 60%. 60% of those.
Good question. So where would, on a scale of 1 to 10, where would you rate the quality of your work?
Previous work up to now, like not including this year, I would say. Why you laughing? My quality of work in the beginning definitely was at like a 4, or no, it was more like actually no. I did some work. It was like really hit or miss. It was all depending on how much pressure I had behind me. If I had more time, my quality was like an 8 or 9. If I didn't have time and I'm just accepting jobs, then it was more like a 4.
All right.
Yeah.
I think we should cut it now. Thank you for being,
Yes, sir.
putting yourself on the line like that. Now, if you guys remember, if you can remember all the stuff he says, I want now you to assess where he said he is versus what the truth in the conversation showed. So let's have a discussion. Anybody would like to start in terms of like evaluating based on the questions, the truth versus his perception of himself? Let's start with, what's your name? Paige. Let's start with Paige, then Shakina, and then you.
I'll let you know right now that this read is coming from a place of love. I'll tell you that right now. I think the last couple of questions that Court asked you were very telling in terms of what would you rate yourself in terms of marketing. Currently, right now, your marketing is only word of mouth, which is incredible because that's the best marketing you can have is someone vouching for you. You don't really have to sell yourself. But marketing is also full scope beyond, we're melanated, we're beautiful. We all gonna walk in. We mostly have the gift of gab if you're from the Bay Area. But going back to what Shakina said, what's your brand? How are you showing up? Is it just you? Is it a color? Is it a slogan? How do people recognize that? I'm sorry, I lost. What was your name again? Javon. How, when someone mentions your name, what do you want to come to mind? I think that's the first question that you should ask yourself when it comes to marketing and branding. And I would bring that number down to like a 2. From 2, like you have room to grow. What's the other thing? Going back to your profit margins. So I have a event production company. So we also do materials and labor. That's one thing that you definitely got to pay attention to. They didn't get to come back to me for questions, but I think a good question to ask yourself is, how are you currently costing everything when you do your estimates, and where can you save money in terms of building relationships with different vendors or whoever you're, getting wholesale pricing or whatever the case may be. Yeah, because once you can identify that price, then going back to what this woman said, you have your cost of materials and then you have your actual labor. So someone asks you to build, I don't know, a shed, and that takes 3 days, but how long are those days? What if it's just you and you want to replace yourself and you no longer want to be in your business? Like you, I'm sure as an entrepreneur, you'll work a 20-hour day. Like, yo, you paying me how much? Like, I'm gonna get it done. But in the real world, like, there are labor laws, and if you want to replace yourself, you got to be realistic about, okay, I want to pay my staff a certain amount of money and give them breaks and yada yada. So like that's where that like timing yourself when you're doing stuff, it is hard. I do have an app on my computer when you do computer work. It's called Be Focused, where you can time yourself and you can name each project, so you can see like, okay, on this client, I spent 3 hours just putting together the proposal. I'm charging for that 3 hours off top. And then last thing I'm going to say, because I can go on and on, but going back to qualifying your clients when you're doing your intake part, that could be a part of your marketing. So before your customers or clients even come to you, you can have them evaluate themselves. Like on your website, you can have a what are they called? A lead page where it's like, okay, click here and learn like the first 5 steps to work with me. Do you have this amount of money to work with? Do you have this timeline? So they start to vet themselves before they even start to talk to you. So
Tell me that real quick. Hey, real quick,
Shakina.
Paige, are you from the Bay? Yeah, you are a classical Bay voice personality. Like I'm listening to you and I hear like mama, sister, cousins. I hear everybody.
Right. Go ahead.
So, I love you. So I think that just from today's conversation, like I've known you and I've watched you, so I'm hella proud of you. I just want to start with that. But saying that I think it's really important for you to remove the ego that's built to protect you in order to see yourself so that you can grow. And what I mean by that is when they asked you about rating yourself. In some areas, you were really honest about where you felt you were at. And then in other areas, it got a little inflated, which is natural. What I would encourage is to increase your scope of what is the pool that you're measuring yourself against. Because your output is always going to look differently based on the amount of time and skills that you've invested into your craft. And so I think that from your conversation of pulling back and trying to give yourself more time in order to focus on getting your license and doing your job, one of the blind spots that I saw was that you pulled back from your company and you believe that you make more money, and at some point you're going to transition back into working for yourself. But if you're taking time away from your company and you're not being intentional about what you're doing on that off time, you're going to go back and repeat the same mistakes unless you get really focused on what are the things that you were doing wrong beforehand, what are the spaces that you could do better, and then plugging yourself into people that can help you see your blind spots so that you can put yourself on a fast track in getting through those barriers. So, yeah.
Thank you. This you good? Okay. Here's a quick one. Here's a quick one in between. Is that I asked you to rate yourself as an entrepreneur. I would give you a 0. Not because you don't have the capabilities to be an entrepreneur. It's just you make $75,000 a year on the weekends, just working 2 days a week, and you still have a job. Why can't you reduce your expenses low enough to where that 75,000 covers you? Quit that fucking job and build your business. That's a hell of a start as an entrepreneur. A hell of a start. I would love to have started a business to make me $75,000 a year. I'd get me a tiny house
Build it.
with a bed and man, come on, bro. I'm a full-time entrepreneur now, making $75,000 a year. That's an entrepreneur. Entrepreneurs are looking for windows to fucking quit and get in the game and be a wolf full time. When that clicks in you, you be like, oh shit, yeah. Project manager for what? Now, if your business was like struggling, you ain't made a dime yet, and you're trying to figure it out, and you making $5,000-$6,000 a year as an entrepreneur, I completely understand it. Absolutely, that's a smart way of going about it. But if you at 75 and you single, you got kids? No kids? Come on, cuz. So that's why I will rate you a 0.
So the questions that I was asking were around like process and operations, kind of like back office stuff. And it sounds like right now you're really reacting to potential clients coming to you, and you don't have processes stood up to do some automatic filtering for you, but also to help manage your time. And you mentioned that was a struggle for you. And I would say, since you are a project manager, that you could be leveraging those skills that you have in your core role right now to build those processes, checklists, and automatic processes to move clients through the funnel, so that you aren't having to, be checking your phone to see, okay, do I have time next week? Am I going to be tired? Da, 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 all that. So really leverage those skills to set yourself up now while you are only working on the weekends, so that you can be just on and running when you're working full time.
So I hate to cut this off because this is.
Can I get a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
I think what's also, I'm not sure folks can see this. He's unconsciously making assumptions. They're not intentional. Like you get 60%, 60,000, 60, it's not possible. 60 was just too damn neat, right? I made this much money, and you led with a large number that allowed your ego to feel good, but you didn't really focus on the amount of losses at the same level. So then you feel it back when people would ask you to make certain numbers, assumptions. You say, I guess. But those guess slowly but surely becomes facts to the brain. And so for a lot of people in business, especially in Oakland, oh my God, it's so bad. And this part of my class, I hate you so much. Like, dude, we keep doing this. I promise you, keep teaching the same shit, just from different perspectives, but the exact same shit I'm about to teach you. But I don't know if you guys, when you said know thyself, this is actually what he's talking about. I'm not sure if you guys caught it. What he's highlighting is that Javon never lied to you guys. I didn't see lying. I didn't see dishonesty, and I didn't see a lack of integrity. I saw your brain, your ego protecting you the whole time. Mm-hmm. And it was invisible to you. Mm-hmm. And it feels like truth to you, but I'm hearing all these contradictions all over the place, because going back to what he also said is, I listen to everything through numbers. If you talk to me in business, I'm putting numbers to every word that's come out your mouth. And as you're talking, I'm like, these numbers don't even add up. And so there's a dishonesty that you got to learn. And it's kind of like your world comes crashing down when it first happens, but it's a necessary pain. But your brain is creating a certain level of dishonesty because all of our brains do it all the time. And you got to be able to hear it and call it out as fast as you can, so you don't find yourself moving to this make-believe story your brain is creating.
Fire. I would love to do another one, but we running out of time. So maybe next week we can do another one. Somebody gonna be courageous enough? All right. But
What? Kaja signing up.
Kaja sign up. But this time I want Nana to be up here with me to make sure we really slicing and dicing. But you guys was this helpful? Was this dope?
Yeah.
You could just see it now lay out in front of you. And the thing is, he's not isolated. We all do this. We all are this. Because we have a protected version of ourselves that's so deep down we don't realize it pops up. Sometimes if you're accurate enough in your thinking, it'll come out and you'll be like, what the fuck did I just say that for? I know that's not true. Because that's what it's become innate in us. So that's why when we talk about playing the truth game, you can't really see it until you see it. And it allows you to become more accurate with yourself. Next slide.
Most of us have allowed our ego to give us a false sense of ourselves for so long, we don't know what truth is anymore.
Right? Now, there's also a thing, because depression is a thing, right? So we talked about last week, and we said, a lot of times our stories don't have to be true. We just have to believe them. And if there are certain stories you have to tell yourself to put yourself in a state where you don't crash, by all means, keep telling it. All means. If you had a loved one that just the thought of that person, you just so connected to that person, and maybe that person passed away. But also maybe that person, he was a stone cold gangster killer. And if you have to say, I'm gonna see him in heaven, am I doing too much?
Nah, bro, you know I like this shit.
If you gotta tell yourself, I'm gonna see him in heaven, to keep going, man, do it. Who am I to say he's not gonna be there? Who are we? Maybe he is, and I won't. Shit. Right? Like some of your stories don't have to be rooted in truth. You have to believe them. And when you know yourself, you know what those stories are. But too many of those stories combine and it gets caught in the delusion, and now you're in your own world. And you're trying to function. You're trying to grow. You're trying to build businesses. You're trying to build an empire and a kingdom. And you're not on the ground. Ain't nobody fucking with you because you're not on the ground. You're not rooted. And you can't even admit like, hey, it could be true or not, but I'm believing it. And I'm sure many of us know people like that. I was about to tell a story that probably not the best. All right, fuck it. So, I had in my wild era, my little wild era, right? And I was in a wild stage, and I remember I was with this woman, and she was married. She was married. I was her sneaky link, right? So one morning, we chopping it up, and she commenced to start gossiping about her best friend who was cheating on her man. I'm sitting here listening to the story. And then she's a hoe, and then that, and she was cheating on him, and boom, 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 and I'm looking over at her. I'm like, so what the fuck do you think we doing? What are you doing? It didn't even fathom in her head that she was doing it. Because her ego, she had such a false sense of her identity and the justification for her reasoning, whatever that was, that it didn't even exist in her world. Even when I called her out on it, it didn't even exist to her. That's how deep this shit is. That's how strong this shit is. So this isn't work that you can skim over. This is work you got to sit there in the mirror and stare at and journal out and dissect and get real with yourself. And you start with absolute truths. You start with truths. What is true about? What is true about this? You know what's true? This is how much I made this year. This is my profit margin. This is how many close friends that I have. This is my conversion rate. This is how many people go to my website and purchase. This is how many people show up to my website. This is how much money I have in my bank account. Like, what are absolute truths? This is how much I weigh. This is what the doctor said about my health. This is my blood pressure. I'm not big boned. This is my blood pressure.
Don't do it to him.
Oh my God.
I'm serious. Like, what are the absolute truths? This is how many friends I've lost in the last 12 months. And I kept saying it's them. It's me. This is how many good women that I've lost in my life. It's me. This is how many good men I've lost in my life. It's me. When you, like, once, absolute truth don't always, the thing is, the fear for a lot of us is that absolute truth feels harsh. But just as many times, absolute truth will make you feel better. Because we are so dramatic in how we think about shit. Oh, my life is over. Oh, this shit's so bad. Oh, I'm horrible. I'm a failure. What does absolute truth say? Yo, you're not a failure. You just fucked up that one time. And if you don't get your ass up, you just fucked up one time. Oh, my life is over. You're about $16,000 in debt. Make a strategy and a plan to pay a particular amount of your check every month, and you can map out when you'll be debt free. Like, the absolute truth can be just as warming and beautiful as it can be harsh. But you got to know yourself. You got to keep it 100 with yourself. No more, no less. No more, no less.
Wow.
Next slide.
Hold on. My business partner just wants to know. This is rare. This is a rare sighting. I mean, hold on a second. This is
Wow.
Whiz
hey, y'all should go check your bank account because you probably won the lottery.
Wow.
Wow. Leprechaun.
And by the way, that's my nephew over there, Kai.
What's up, Kai? Man, it's an honor to have you in here, bro. That's what's up.
I know him and I'm shocked. Nobody's more shocked than me.
He like, I didn't think it was gonna be like this when I walked in. All right, let's go next slide. How's that feel? Does everybody? I mean, are we good? Does that? We locked in? All right.
Be the best version of you. That's all that matters. Some of you are so invested in what other people are doing, you have little time and resources to invest in your own business. Comparison, over competition, jealousy, envy are all diseases. You being nosy can't help your business. Clean yourself of these afflictions, and the game of life opens up in ways that you are only playing against your last best in a healthy competitive current.
That's the key. Be the best version of yourself. We're not in a position, like, there's a competitive current out there. Absolutely. There's a competitive current out there, and you got to know what your competitors are doing. But most of our businesses aren't even off the ground yet, in a place where you can be really focused on that. Be focused on being the best version of who you were yesterday. Being better than who you were yesterday, and that's it. That's far in the distance. When you think that, when I ask, are you good at making money? Hell yeah, I'm good at making money. I'm an 8. So 75K a year, that's when you get to the point to where 75K is hardly any money. That ain't money. That's a little money. That's when you can start looking at what are my competitors doing. See what I'm saying? I don't think about who's your being nosy and in other people's business and being jealous at Microsoft or Apple. Like, thinking about Apple for? Who's your like, if you have a business plan that says your competitors are Apple and Microsoft, you tripping, cuz. You tripping. It's not your competition. Don't worry about because here's the deal. Goes back to know thyself, right? That is your whole goal right now, is to learn who you are and find all your knobs and figure out how to keep turning your knobs up in a place to where I'm better than I was yesterday. That's it. That's the homework. That's the homework. And let the competitive current be the competitive current. Meaning, as humans, the reason why we've evolved as human beings over the last millions of years is because of a competitive current. But if you are so consumed by competition and jealousy of whoever's doing better than you and comparing yourself to those around you on Instagram, it's a disease that'll eat you up. So fuck them. I don't compete against nobody right now. I'm not there yet. I don't compete. I have ideas of who's around me that's doing something similar. I don't think about them. I'm occasionally glad, but I ain't tripping because I got so much work to do and I got so much growing and learning and getting better to do within my own company. Remember, we talked about sometimes it's not what you need to do, is what you need to stop doing. So there's a whole host of things that we got to stop doing as a company that will make us more money instead of reaching out trying to compete with the next person, the next company. I watch people do it with me. I see people on Instagram, it cracks me up. They'll try to copy some of my shit, and it's such a bootleg version of it. It's a failure. They'll copy a particular way, and it's like, that ain't it. But I will let you keep doing it. There's so much underneath that. So don't trip on, like, that will take you down a dangerous, it'll take you down a wrong path, especially if you got over competitive energy. Channel that into competing against yourself, better version of yourself. And when you got that locked up, then you'll look to the left and to the right, and now you can play. Now you're like, okay, let's get it. Now it's fun. Because the game now is fun to compete in an arena where we both have built something substantial.
This is a question for context, not for trying to create friction. But in reference to when you were like, how am I better today than I was yesterday? Isn't competition healthy if you're using it to create benchmarks for your business where you're going into a stage that's unknown? Like, shouldn't you be looking at what other companies in your industry are doing so you can figure out what your touch points should be as you're trying to grow? Because if you're getting better but you have no comparison, can't that kind of be like a hamster wheel as well?
Well, there's benchmarks and there's competition. So you said benchmarks and competition. Competition is different than benchmarks. Benchmarks is saying, hey, where are people on my level at? Oh, that's this, that's that. But that's not my journey. It's not my journey. So say you have a company that at year 9, they're doing $5 million a year. And you're at year 9 and you're doing $500,000 a year. Are you failing? Are you on the slow class? What do you think?
Everything, context.
That is my point. It's all about context. What if you were a crackhead 4 years ago and you lost everything and you first had to get yourself clean and you were in a homeless shelter and you had to pull yourself up and then you had to learn the tools of being an entrepreneur and then you had to like break tons and tons of bad habits to get to a point where you could start the business. And then now you were working at McDonald's and then you decided to take on an entrepreneurial journey and then you built a business starting with one client and then by year 9 you're at $500,000. Who's doing better when the $5 million guy got money from his parents? And he'd been in the same industry. His parents were in the same industry their whole lives. And when they got older, they dropped the kids some bread to start a business. And now year 9, they're doing $5 million. Who's better? And then if a person with unhealthy competition is going to agonize at night because they're not where that other person is. You can't. Especially us as black folks. I had to hold hands with my classmates to go from one class to the next. I was in them kind of classes. You don't go from one class. We stayed in the same classroom for 4 periods. So who am I? Why do I compare myself with anybody? I'm winning. I'm killing. Anybody in my industry, I've killed you. My pops was a crackhead my whole life. Guns, shooting, murder, the whole shit. PTSD up the yin yang. So the healing I had to do, where I come from, who the fuck do I don't care. All my goal is am I a better version than I was yesterday? And if yes, I succeeded. If no, we got a problem. We got a problem. Now, one day I'm gonna get to a place to where now I'm looking left to right and I got real competitors. Now it's a game. Let's go. But everybody in my family good for the rest of their. I ain't tripping. Like, we on a different caliber. Let's go. But if you can't compete with the next man or the next woman, and if that next woman punches you in the face, and if you can't say that was a good one, you don't need to be competing. You got to be like, oh shit, that was good. Okay, I got you. If you like Florida Evans saying, damn.
Wait a minute.
And you scratching and pulling your hair out, and you know what I'm saying? You got bald patches because then you tripping. And now you just put yourself in a spiral that you're going to get smoked even further by your competition. I'm at peace. 9 years ago, it was people doing much better than me. It was companies that were killing. I'm scrolling on Instagram, I'm seeing them killing. Doing drops and killing. I'm not nowhere near that, but I'm at peace. Because guess what? I'm not homeless no more. I have a upward trajectory. That's all that matters. Get that down. Next slide.
In entrepreneurship, creativity is not king.
How many of that, just be honest, how many of that sting a little bit? Anybody that stings a little bit? Good. What does that make me, like a S&M dude, like pain? Does that hurt? Good. Sadist. Creativity and entrepreneurship is not king. It's actually it's on the lowest in entrepreneurship of, I think it's 5 or 6 things. Does anybody have any idea why? The people who didn't raise their hand, do you have any idea why creativity is not king? Let's give this man the mic.
I can say like one of the biggest things that I've learned in entrepreneurship is to not reinvent the wheel. So like people who want to be creative and like, oh, let's try to do something new when something's already working, you know, it can probably hinder you possibly.
Not really. I'm trying to find it. No, that's not it. Here's we got another possibility. Yeah. So just people online can hear you.
It's not quantifiable.
It's not quantifiable. Was that? Can you explain that?
Creativity in and of itself is hard to quantify without. Well, I can see the context of leadership and discipline, but without the context of some type of metrics, I guess, and numbers. Going back to numbers.
Not it. Here it is. Raise your hand. Raise your hand if creative ideas come to you sometimes, or have came to you. Look around. Look around. Creativity comes like breathing. Anybody and everybody can get creative. Have you ever thought of an idea, dope ass idea, and then 9 months later you seen a commercial for it? You wasn't even the only one. It's like, God, why you do? God gave it to 4 people at the same time, and y'all was in a race to market, and you didn't even do nothing to it, because creativity can be hired out. You can hire creativity. I can go to the Academy of Art and go to the dean and say, hey, I need your top 3 people who graduated in the class. Done. Creativity, I got it on my team. Leadership, the world has a void of leaders. That's a scarce commodity, leadership. You know what another scarce commodity? Discipline. So in the United States of America, you can look around at people and see lack of discipline. You can look around and see lack of leadership. So if a person can combine those two, it's power. We value creativity as number 1. Creativity is actually last place. Consistency, leadership, discipline. That is the muscles you want to grow. Now, if you're creative, I'm a creative. I tell you this, when this was told to me, I probably went in the corner and cried for a long time, because I'm the artist. I'm the artist. But once you entrepreneur, you'll realize slowly it'll drop down by itself when you're entrepreneuring. And then this guy told me, man, you got to find somebody to take over and design for you. What? I'm Court Smith, the designer. The dopeness comes from me. Man, you got to find somebody that will design for you and step away. They don't make them like me. That's that ego. That's that ego. You know how much designing I do now? 10%. 10%. 10% designing. And 90% is done by the 2 designers I have on our staff.
Online is up. It hurt. It hurt. It hurt. Online.
Good.
Hello? Oh. Can I ask what your process was once you realized that your value to your company was not being the designer? What did your backup process look like to going from lead designer to 10, 20%?
Okay, let's go back to the conversation. Old office on 2nd Street. After class, we having a talk. And you know the thing that we had earlier? That's how we talk. That's why we can have a 6-hour conversation in your guys' world in like 45 minutes. Because it goes straight to data, truth, you fucking up. Well, that ain't it. Try that. Turn that knob. Turn that down. Turn that up. Right? 5 hours worth of dilly-dallying in a short, compact time, because we go straight to truth. Time, attention, money. Time's most valuable, right? So that's why we do it, because we know time is valuable. So Have that conversation. Let me test some shit. I go back to the office. I've built this world around me where all the people want Court to design their shit. Court comes to you, Court, can you design my shit? Can you design my shit? No, I only want you designing my stuff. So that is what hyped me up into believing that my company would crash if I wasn't designing. I hired a designer. Customer says that to me. I say, hey, you know what? I got this designer. He's highly accredited. He's better than me. But we gonna work on your design together. And I'm gonna make sure it's fire. I'm gonna put my spices on it. That was my test. Fall back. I say, Martin, go ahead, do everything. Let me just take a look at it before you send it. He shows it to me. I'm like, it's cool. Go ahead. He sends it. Dude comes back. That's fire. Cool. Starts giving me a little more comfortability. So soon, make sure before you send it, make sure you send it to me. So I say out of 10 times, 3 of them, I'd have to make some adjustments and tweaks. But after about 6 months, they just as good as mine. After about 8 months, this motherfucker's starting to pass me up. Now, they come in, where's Martin at? I need Martin to do my shit. Like, Martin, and they'll walk right past me. Martin, you cold, blood. Like, man, you I don't touch it. But if I didn't have that conversation and then my ego would have, then I would still be designing my shit. Creativity's not king. I get to lead. So now I get that time back to build the company. So now I'm flying back from here to LA because we're building the store in LA. We got one in Sacramento, Oakland. We moving on. Like now I get to be strategic about the business. I can go raise money. I can do brand partnerships with NBA play. I have the space now to think because now you got nothing time. You don't have to fill it up. Now it's just like shit. And sometimes at the beginning, I'd be in the back office not doing nothing. Fuck. What do I do? I ain't got no designs. I didn't know what's going on worldstarhiphop.com. Because I don't want to insert myself. I'm going to force myself to not get in there. So I'm just randomly doing dumb shit just to force myself to allow other people to do it. But now it pays off. Next slide. I might get through this.
Most of us will trade fame as a currency over success. Your ego has taken over.
In Black culture, man, it's a problem. Ooh. Man, it's a problem. We confuse fame as a currency with real currency. With real currency. It's not as popular now, but you remember back in the days of like, will you do this thing for free, but it'll be publicity for you. Mm-hmm. Y'all got tired of that because y'all soon seen the wool. You pulled the wool over that. But we still have a big problem. We'll take the likes over the money any day, and it's a problem. When you're a numbers person, I'm cool. I'll pass. It's not a win-win. Stephen Covey is my guy for that. He's the one who taught me that. Win-win or no deal. If it's a win for me and a win for you, let's do it. If it's a win for you and a lose for me, no. Publicity, none of that shit. It got to be a win, and win ain't publicity. Win is conversion. Next slide.
Any fool can learn from their mistakes, learn from others. There's simply not enough time to learn everything it takes to be a successful entrepreneur from your own mistakes. You accelerate your growth by absorbing the wisdom of others.
Man, it ain't enough time on this planet. Entrepreneurship, you need like 6 lifetimes to learn the stuff you need to be a successful entrepreneur. So how do you make up the time? Is you learn from others' mistakes, not yours. You learn from others' mistakes while you're going after it. There's a saying, I think it's Sun Tzu, where he says, it's better to have the rise and the fall of a thing than to never have the rise at all. So you got to be going after it, failing and all, crashing and all. You got to be going after it. But a lot of times we'll listen to people who ain't never had no rises at all, or get consumed by their criticism and their shit talking. And they ain't never did shit. That's my biggest pet peeve. Do not tell me, or there's nothing you can say that can press any of my buttons if you ain't done it. You're a fan. You're not, that's coming from a fan's perspective. So the goal is to accelerate, to skip steps in your business and in your growth by surrounding yourself with people who are doing it and who have done it and are doing it at the level that you want, and absorb game. Like, again, I tell you the dumb shit that I've done in life because it's truth. And I want you to absorb it to learn from my fuck ups and my mistakes. Because if you skip that step, then at least it makes me feel good. I had something to do. With your acceleration. Any questions before we go on a brief intermission? All right. Thank you.
Am I Lionel? Okay. Y'all want to hear how crazy this is? Now watch how we did not talk about class. He came over on the 4th. Our families hung out. We had the best time. But we did not talk about this. We did not talk about this class. We've been doing this, I think, almost all this year, syncing up. Watch how close this class is going to be. Almost as if I was like, well, I'm going to teach my perspective. It's going to be a very similar class. We're going to drive home some of the same points. Let's jump into, look at that first, okay, good, first slide there, basics. Let me say this before. So, as I promised, we're going to talk about basics for a few weeks. My sister, Shabisha, has been taking me around to see and experience different Black businesses. And I can honestly tell you, we're not getting the basics. And it's not just recently. What made me start this class, maybe 7 years, can't remember how long, about 7 years ago, was the basics just wasn't being implemented. And so we started getting into a lot of like concepts. You ever listen to a great speaker, you're like, man, how do they know so much? I try to teach this class so you could think for yourself. And all of a sudden you can see where these ideas are coming from. They don't seem like they're so blessed or so smart. And so I started giving you the core principles. But in this class I've been giving you this whole time, as well as this whole class is really about the basics. We had a student in this class at the beginning of the year, and he was sending me these emails. They were so damn complex. And he would just, he would say something. I'm like, well, how did you draw that conclusion? Where are you pulling that from? How did you develop that analysis? And then his response would even be complex. It's like I was talking to Cornel West or some shit, right? And what I explained to him, I tried to tell him, was I said, I need to caution you from all of this complexity. At some point, life is there's so many things you're going to experience as an entrepreneur. It's important that you have such strong basics that you bring those basics together and figure the problem out, no matter what kind of problem you face. But you have to have really enriched basics. I would argue that one of the main goals of hope is to shift your basics. Many of our basics are tied to historical socialization, culture, family. And if you're black, you know what the fuck I just said. And so there's a need to shift the basics. But some of us think by branching off into the complexities, we have a greater sense of knowledge. When really the only thing you're doing is strengthening your sense of status, but it doesn't improve your ability to solve problems. Just like in martial arts, white belt is so critical, and every other belt is just an evolution of the white belt. Not only this class, but this business stuff you're learning, it's all evolution of the basics. I would almost argue that sometimes, in some cases, complexities are distractions. And you'll find yourself waiting to be the crowd favorite or the mob favorite when you speak in the space of complexity. That's why I told you I don't like Cornel West. Because as you gain this knowledge of entrepreneurship, you should be able to teach it to a 17-year-old. That's the reality of it. And so, like you said, when you say basics, that's the goal of this class, is to strengthen your basics, not to become the queen or king or the they. I'm gonna keep playing with that for a little while. Of complexities. So let's jump into the first one. This is one of my favorite ones, and this is something I've been noticing a lot with a lot of black folks. Contingencies. Contingencies do not go along with not feeling like you're good enough. Like, y'all know black folks, that's one of the biggest, since I've been teaching this class, the most common thing I find that black folks struggle with is they don't feel like they're good enough. So that means when you bid on a contract, what do? You bid low, or you try to get as close to the lowest, most acceptable number. You move for approval, not for profit. Which is, again, you move for approval, not for profit. Let's say you're selling a t-shirt and everybody's selling a t-shirt for 16. Could you see yourself selling for 18? Some of you guys are going to push for 13 because you figure this is where I can get to the market. And then after a while, you can even trap yourself in that $13 t-shirt market. I'm not advocating what I call the earthly flea market pricing, which I think is insane, right? It's hard to saturate the market with that because the point of entry is too high for trust, right? So, like, for example, if I buy a jar of jelly for $12, I got to trust you. I'm not going to just walk in there. I'm going to go get that $6 jar of jelly because it's telling me, hey, you could try me. You could throw me away if you don't like me. But at $12, I need to like you, right? So that means your market saturation is going to be pretty fucking weak. So if you want to have an aggressive market saturation, you're playing ultimately with the commodity, you're going to play the volume game. Or as you're trying to grow your position in the market, what so many of us have a tendency to do is we run to the lower side of the market. Let me explain to you why this is one of the most important subjects. I'm going to try to keep this one short because I want to go to the other one that I really want to jump into because the court messed it up. I was all excited. I was like, he was teaching my whole second favorite part. but when you charge for your services, don't make one customer pay all your contingency. Spread your contingency amongst all your customers. That way, when you take a loss or something goes bad, it's already paid for. Build the mistakes, build the stolen items, build the losses, build the bad contracts all into your pricing. So let's say, ideally, the product should cost $10. You might want to sell it for $11, $12, $11.50. Now you might say, well, Nana, if I sell it for $12, doesn't that weaken my position in the market? Good question. The way you compensate for higher prices is great marketing. And we talked about this last week, priming your market. So I brought me a Apple Studio, Ultra Apple Studio computer. It's one of their professional computers. And it came to the house today. It took me a whole month to get the damn computer. I've never opened up a box so fucking pretty in my life. I opened up that box and I was like, is this a toy? Like it was designed with such level of perfection. You know what it did? It primed my brain to say, this computer you have is not just a computer. Now here's the cool part, because my brain just, I'm in the branding and marketing world. When I turn the computer on, it reminds me of my laptop. Now, it's probably going to be faster. It's probably going to do some things my laptop couldn't do, right? But for the average person, it's going to reinvent my relationship to my computer, right? And it's going to say to me, oh, it's okay if I spend more money on this. It justifies itself. Also, remember, when you charge low prices, you set expectations and you shape how people treat you. There's a big difference. Have you guys ever given somebody a discount and then dealt with a discount experience? Most common thing in the world. When you charge high prices, people tiptoe around you. Now, I don't mean high prices that you can raise your prices too high and push yourself out the market. But what I'm trying to argue is that as you move in business, stop trying to get the best, most accurate number you can give somebody. Lead with first, build the number first, and then think about what is your necessary contingency so you can deal with all the riffraff. What if you have a customer that you provide a service and they just talk to fucking death? That's built into the cost. You can talk all you want. No, and they think, oh my God, and guess what? Your service goes up. Your mental health improves. Your emotional intelligence improves, right? Because you built that to the cost. Some of you build your numbers so fucking tight. Every loss is personal. What you mean you want me to wait here another hour? You got the game fucked up. How am I supposed to make money? It's supposed to be built into your price. As you move to stronger customers, they're going to assume you've already built contingency in your numbers. If they decide to make a change, they'll say, hey, is this change covered by our contingency yet? It's automatically assumed. Stop reaching for the lowest number thinking that's going to improve your value. Now, when you set your estimate, never say 60,000. Never say 50,000, 40,000, or an even number. No one trusts your numbers. Say $60,122. You might say, what? Because then people feel like you gave the price some thought. There's some value in your thought. So, Black folks, we are the worst at building contingencies. Because in the end, and ignore whatever money you received when you had a job. It doesn't translate in the entrepreneur world. See, when you had a job, you just did that job and you went home. You didn't have to buy no materials. You had to protect the ecosystem. You had to protect the infrastructure. You had to invest in marketing. You didn't have to pay taxes. You didn't have to buy insurances. And by the way, if you believe in probability, you should believe in insurance. You didn't have to upgrade and create redundancy. You didn't have to create modularity. You didn't have to create Slack, right? That shit costs money. One of the reasons I knew this, by the way, that's my nephew. The reason I knew my nephew numbers were so bad, because he's in hustling mode. He's not in business building mode. It's a big difference. Hustling is getting check to check, where can I get the bag? Business is building an engine that can run itself. That can actually provide a certain human experience that allows you to position yourself in the market. It's a huge difference. So contingency, I'm gonna leave this one unless there's any questions. We're gonna move quickly past this one, but I think you got the gist of it. Oh, Kaja, go ahead. Somebody give Kaja a microphone, please. You understand me?
Do you think is there a recommendation that you would give as far as the period of time when you're making these price changes so that it's less visible to your customer that you're in flux trying to find that sweet spot?
Customers won't see $5, $10. They won't see $20. They won't see it. They won't see it unless your item's like a $2 item, right? But if you're charging $100 for something that goes up $110, and your marketing experience changes, no one even notices it. They only notice it is if you're not aware of your environment. So remember we talked about priming, right? Your whole environment, everything that goes into priming, the way the customer spends money. If your priming game is really, really weak, customers are gonna notice one penny. If your priming game is strong, it's almost invisible. But it has to be relative. So like $10 to $20 for your kind of pricing Say Brownie's barbecue sauce is already at 10, which I think is a little too high, right? Because it's that decision space, right? But let's say she went from, let's say the ideal price was 7 and she went to $7.50. But as you spread it over a group of customers, that's a hell of a contingency that allows you from room for optionality, right? Because that's a goal in business, that everything is so unpredictable in the future. To move in the future with this idea of rigidity, as if I do this, this is going to happen, is discounting the randomness of tomorrow, right? Go ahead, Paige.
I'm actually in this space right now. Do you announce to your customer that you're raising, that the price has gone up?
Depends. Give me, because it depends. Give me your scenario.
I am going from a one-woman show to a full team, and so now I'm adding. It was a service fee before, which covered my expenses for the business as well as my quote-unquote salary. And now we have hard numbers for things. And so now they're paying for a full team as opposed to just myself. So in my mind, it's okay. In the new newsletter, we are now a full-fledged team, introducing you to the team, yada, yada, yada. The price has gone up.
Why did you build a team? I'm going to show you something. Why did you build a team as opposed to just a one-woman show?
Because I can't do everything by myself.
So what were you failing at?
Everything. If I wasn't doing everything to 100%.
Look, she get honestly quick. We gonna play next game. She like, shit, you gonna bust me up?
I'm ready.
Now back up.
Stay ready.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Okay. I love my people more than anything in the world. One of the things that what you want to do is you want to sell the value that the customer receives because of those people. So, and you adjust your prices to the value. You attach to a value statement. So when you can upsell, you upsell your numbers, right? For example, when a customer says to me, let me see if I can go back because I ain't did this in a long time. Customers say, "Man, you are expensive." I said, "Depends on how much you value your project." At the end of the day, you're paying for security, redundancy, quality. You're paying for a competitive edge. The service that I'm going to provide for you, if you're serious about it and this is what you want to do. So I'm always upselling the value. I never say, yeah, but there's no yeah, buts, right? And so I think what you want to do is build that argument, even if you're just preaching to your friends, that value argument, and then learn to integrate that into your marketing, how these new things are coming and these are being provided for you. And we're aiming at a new market, new opportunities. Like, you just want to talk this whole forward progressive personal reward to the customer. As you show the customer that, as you frame it as a reward to the customer, it becomes invisible. It's only when you frame it as the same old thing or it's going to make me feel better. Customer's like, I don't really care about you like that. So as long as you frame it towards the customer wins, customers will, especially when the numbers make sense, right? And sometimes what other thing you can do, a couple of things you can do. You could also frame an extremely high number of something, that service you provide, a VIP number that's just crazy, that no one's ever going to buy. That makes now your numbers look small, right? You could frame competition. You can use comparison game. Hey, I know Paramount has charged you this kind of price, but we're going to bring it to you for this price. But this price just went up, though. So it's all about how you shape the story. Numbers, average human being can't process numbers. Even though entrepreneurs, we do, they can't. Like, so much shit went up through COVID, and you don't even notice the certain things because it just wasn't much of a shift. But if something shifted enough, you didn't care. You live with it. Next slide. Pain and desire. I got a couple of angles I'm gonna hit this one from. Let me start with pain first. Y'all know I hate social justice, right? I don't know, have I said it enough? I hate social justice. And I want y'all to know the word hate is real.
Okay.
Right? I hate social justice.
Okay.
And I hate social justice because the methodology sucks. I just got off the phone with a historical mental health program that's been around since the 70s in San Francisco. Very powerful organization. I talked to the CEO, and I just went to town about how much I hate social justice. But then when I brought it back to mental health, she couldn't agree more. And one of the things that we've done is we've demonized pain. You know, you guys watch television, and for a little while, we knew it was fake. We knew it was fake. But if you guys watch a relationship in television, if one of the mates start to experience pain, we got a problem, right? And you think, okay, it's television. But here's the thing, people forget that social media is acting. And so people go on social media and they act out the scenes in television, telling our minds this is the way shit really is. You cannot find purpose and personal value without pain. Now, there shouldn't be a woman that can hear my voice that would disagree with me. Now, some of you men might be like, well, you don't, but. Mamas, y'all remember having that baby, right? That connection of pain is what allows you to value this experience, and it gives you substance and purpose. I told one of my friends, I said, have you ever watched a woman have a baby and then decide to have another one? And sometimes another one? Meaning, I hate him so much right now. And another one. And the reality is that the woman is teaching you a very deep message. Some of y'all get in relationships, dating relationships. I'm not happy. You're not supposed to always be happy. You're supposed to be for some pain. The pain is what gives the relationship quality. Ask any parent, do they love their kids every day, every second? Them kids be providing pain. Right? Your eyes are on red fire and they up talking about, can we talk? What? And guess what you figured out, right? Or you have to get up, or let's say you had insomnia and school starts at 8. Right? Some of y'all get in business and y'all look for easy shit. You keep avoiding and engineering pain out of your life, and then you wonder why you're so fucking superficial and depressed. Pain is the pathway to substance. Pain is the oh, this person gets on my nerves. I tell one of my brothers today, I say, you know, every day I'm in a temporary space. Let me say this again. Every day I'm in a temporary space. So, meaning that today, Shabish, I just don't like you. And tomorrow, I love you to death. But based upon the rules of probability progression, by the end of the year, she's the greatest person in my life. You see that? And what gave us meaning is those good and bad days. But some of y'all are so framed that everything is supposed to be good. You're cutting everything out of your life that gives you pain when those are the pathways you need to be taking to find your substance. That's why if she gets on my nerves, I'm never going to tell her, you know, you're on my fucking nerves today. It's temporary. You know, I was talking to my wife the other day, I said, you know how much we change when you're single? You change all the fucking time. I don't like this no more. I'm going to do this tomorrow. I'm going to change up over here. I'm going to wear these kind of clothes. But when you get in a relationship, change is now disruptive. Because the person's like, I thought, right? Do you realize when you first meet somebody, you like DNA, you come together and you grow apart. You come together and you grow apart. You come together and you grow apart. And when you grow apart, some of that stuff is painful. Yet, you keep records of all the moments that you grew apart as if it has value to the overall relationship. Now realizing it is part of the overall relationship. But you watch too much television. You want to be, what's the brother from Atlanta? Another black dude that got the studio in Atlanta now. Tyler Perry. Now y'all would be like Tyler Perry movie. Oh. Somebody will come off, tell somebody off, and then you live happily ever after. Trash. Let me add another layer to this. Before you were born, nobody gave a fuck about you. 3 generations from now, no one will give a fuck about you. and y'all taking this shit that serious. Pain is part of the game. Why do you think I go to the gym and ride my bike up these steep ass hills and run stairs? Do you think that feels good? Tell them again, Shakina. Hell no. Thank you. From the gospel words of Shakina, hell no. Right? But it's me building a healthy relationship with pain. Why? So I can maintain healthy relationships. In this business thing, you know what you need to accumulate faster than money? Relationships. Relationships. If you fall tomorrow, relationships will help you bounce back so fucking fast. It'll make you forget that you actually fail. But you're dumping relationships left and right because every time somebody irritates you and bring you pain, I'm done with them. I don't want to see it. I'm about to, What's all this? Pain is part of the game. I see so many people this is one of the reasons I was telling Court I hate going to weddings. Because a lot of times people they get into relationships thinking this person is going to make me happy forever. And I'm going to be happy forever. No, let me add to that. Yes, you should be happy forever, but you'll be in full of pain forever too. It's work. It's hella work. It's discomforts. It's shit you don't want to do all the time. Which leads me to desire. Here's the thing about desire. Desire is a cold motherfucking game. Do you realize everybody in this room has desire, but we all can't get it all at the same time? You know what I mean? There's 350 million Americans in the United States, and we all have desires. And we're all trying to get our desires. You ever seen black people why would they do this? Okay, let's just pick on a small group of Asians real quick. The ones that got manipulated by the white people who went against affirmative actions. And you might say, that's hella racist to us. No, it's not. It's their desire. Yo, you don't get to have your desires all the time, Sway. Do you realize that most of the time you won't get what you desire? If you are part of a herd or a group, part of your survival, part of your freedom, part of the things you want in life comes from you belonging to a certain group. Well, everybody in that group has desires. That means you got to wait your turn sometimes to get your own desire. But some of y'all run around here and you have desires like a narcissist. Why can't I have this? I don't understand why these things ain't working. I don't understand what it is. I asked for this. I don't see why nobody's. I feel like nobody sees me. Turn that shit the fuck. I'm not gonna use the word knob. Pull that dial down. Right? You are over. You cannot get all of your desires. But television and social media makes you feel like if you have a desire, the world should bend to your desires. The world should be like this. People should act like that. Things should be like. That's what the word "should" is. That's why it's a kind of distortion, because it's the amplifying of these false desires. You don't get all that you desire. If you're running a company, look, when me and Mashama first became business partners, he got all of his paychecks religiously. I didn't get all my paychecks. I had the dominance in the company. I took the losses. Mashama was like, yo, we just got back from camping. I just got back from barely making it. No, that's the same thing, right? So what you guys don't realize is that I was delaying my desires, right? When COVID hit and my whole team was distorted, I focused on keeping my team from slipping into depression and over submitting to fear. That means I had to give up some of my personal desires. My little daughter tells me every day, fuck your desires. Your desire, daddy. Oh, damn. Right? My old Hardy, like, you gonna ride me one day? I'm coming, bro. Just give me some time. Sometimes when you even show up for friends, it's not what I desire. I'm still never gonna help you move, so don't call me for no moving. I don't lift no fucking furniture. I ain't gonna be nobody fucking move. I'm gonna come up missing. But outside of the moving, a lot of times I do shit for friends. It's not my desire. Chores ain't my desire. Sometimes family weekends, I don't want to do this shit, but it's not my desire. But some of y'all are narcissists around your desires. Shabisha, you ready to get down on this one?
Yes.
Now, this is where me and Court's about to clash. Just about to hit our crossroads. Let's get started. This is from Naval. Naval, I'm gonna send out this podcast so you guys will hear for yourself. I don't think I've ever took a transcript and taught it. But this is what he said was so much fire. I was running the stairs, I had to stop on one stair and say, wait, let me rewind that shit. What did he just say? It was so cold. I said, I'd be damned if I go to class and not share this one. So let's go for this one. And I'm gonna let you read it, most of it by you, and then we'll come back and do it again. So go ahead, just flow through. I'm gonna sit back so I won't say shit. Go ahead.
Okay, hold on. Okay. Jesus. There's one definition of a moment of There's one definition of a moment of suffering is that it's that moment when you see things exactly the way they are. This whole time you've been convinced your business is doing great, and really you've ignored the signs that it's not doing that well. Then your business fails and you suffer. That's just because you've been putting off reality. You've been hiding it from yourself. The good news is that when you're suffering, when you're in pain, that's a moment of truth.
Ooh.
That is a moment where you're forced to embrace reality actually the way it is. Then you can make meaningful change and progress. You can only do that when you're starting with the truth. I think the hard thing here is seeing the truth. To see the truth, you have to get your ego out of the way because your ego doesn't want to face the truth. The smaller you can make your ego, the less conditioned you can make your reactions, the less desires you can have about the outcome you want, the easier it is to see the reality.
Is that shit cold?
Y'all planned this. Y'all had to have planned it because he was talking about the truth.
I promise you.
Literally said the same words.
I'm sitting there the whole time going, really, Court? Like, really, we're on the same wave? What did we hear before? And mind you, when I designed this class, the goal was, okay, we have this curriculum that we're trying to hit. But the goal is to design a class that serves the students. That means we have to listen to the feedback from the students and adjust each class to make sure that we're serving you, right? And if we hear certain chatter amongst the group, we make these tweaks and adjustments, right? So that's why it's so crazy that we're lined up, because it shows that we're both in a serving role, right? We're not in a leadership role. I think when you go to a leadership role, you start thinking, I know what's best for you. When you're in servitude mode, you're gonna sit back and go, how can I serve you? And that means that it's going to help us align a lot better. But anyway, let's go from the top again. So
there's one definition of a moment of suffering is that it's that moment when you see things exactly the way they are.
That means this whole time you've been doing that Oakland shit, that black community shit. How you doing? Oh, I'm doing big time. I'm doing good. Life's great. You know what I'm saying? My business popping. You know what I'm saying? I'm over here. If I looked at your bank account would be like, shh, stop talking. Right? But at that moment, oh, life is great. Numbers is great. Things are rolling. You would take one of these hype moments in your business cycle and you'll talk about it as if this is the way that things are going all the time. But the day-to-day, 90% of your business is drudgery and sadness, right? And so what hurts is when, and I said it's called suffering, but this is, okay, so I was in Las Vegas, and with one of my close friends' weddings. And I watch people smoke weed all the time and drink all the time. And they're trying to avoid the suffering. But the suffering is where you need to be to have that moment of awakening to solve your problems. But you stretch your problems out because you're always high, because you're always avoiding the suffering. And you just can't wait to get back to make-believe land. And so when you're not suffering, you're online playing the make-believe world, and you go back to the highness, and you go back online, you're back to highness, and you never just sit and say, hey, it's going to hurt for a minute, but my brain, I trust, is going to take over and provide me these strategies that can change my life, these hypotheses that can change my life. But instead, you practice, I want to avoid the suffering. I don't want to talk about the suffering. I want to have positive conversations that make you feel like I'm not suffering. When all of that shit, right, all the suffering that you're avoiding is keeping you ignorant. Not ignorant. East Oakland, ignorant. Next one. Keep writing. Keep saying, keep reading.
This whole time, you've been convinced your business is doing great, and really you've ignored the signs that it's not doing that well. Then your business fails and you suffer. That's just because you've been putting off reality. You've been hiding it from yourself.
That superficial shit, that playing the status roles, that online convincing yourself you're somebody you're not, it's going to make you suffer really bad. Remember how you say it's not a matter of if. But when. When you do fall. And this whole time, remember that story I told about the turkey? Who thought this whole time when the person was feeding them for 2 years, they were friends, they were getting close, until one day he decided to kill the turkey. And the turkey thought things were good because the turkey wasn't facing reality. The turkey was caught in this story like, oh man, we close, things are popping out here. Man, I'm living the best life ever. Oh my God, I can't believe this human being taking care of me like that, man. I don't know what y'all saying, but these humans, they oh shit. And so the reality is that if you ever sit with me in court, especially Mashama too, my business partner just left. Oh, we're having real talk. We're not about to do this shit because we know the cost of that is every time we spend time in that fake belief. We can all do it if we want to, but every time we play the make believe game, we're in a neglect game. I know some sisters and brothers right now who swag is so cold. If they walk in this room, you swear to God, they got all the money. But when you turn that swag down, they trash. Because they be playing this game for so long, they are walking neglect. Keep going on that. Read the next part.
The good news is that when you're suffering, when you're in pain, there's a moment of truth. That is a moment where you're forced to embrace reality actually the way it is. Then you can make meaningful change and progress. You can only do that when you're starting with the truth.
That truth hurts. That truth hurts. Because a lot of us look at truth as the destination. We don't realize truth is the starting point. If you suck right now, that's the starting point. That's not the destination. If you ugly right now, that's the starting point. That's not the destination. All human beings can be, I'm being 100%. All human beings can be cute. All human beings can be cute. But if things in your life is not working in a certain kind of way, if you're broke right now, that's the starting point. That's not the destination. But when the problem is that when you tell the truth, you think you're handing down a sentence. You're not a broke ass. You just happen to be broke today. Right? How about I called you broke ass before? I was just talking shit. With your broke ass. You understand me? But so that's the important why you have to have truth. It's giving you clarity on where you are so you can now figure out where you need to go. But a lot of times when you say where you are, you think you are judging yourself and condemning yourself. No, you have to be honest. I ain't shit. I'm weak as fuck. Lazy, inconsistent as a motherfucker. I ain't paid child support since child support paid me. Like, you ain't paid shit. Right? Yes, the only credit card in my credit that work, the only card in my group of credit card work is this EBT card. Let's just keep it real. Say it. Just say it. I promise you this is the most empowering shit ever. I always call out my weaknesses as fast as I fucking can. But keep going.
I think the hard thing here is seeing the truth. Mm-hmm. To see the truth, you have to get your ego out of the way because your ego doesn't want to face the truth.
So did you see how My nephew never lied. He wasn't showing up with false integrity or trying to run game on you. But his ego was forcing distortion. That's all it was. It wasn't, it's such a human fucking thing. And why do we have high egos more than other people? Go all the way back because we don't feel like we're good enough and our egos keeping us standing. When somebody told you you are a minority, you come from, you're an ex-slave, you're at the bottom of the game, you're the poorest in America, Africa's fucked up, your ego keeps you standing. The problem is you gotta learn how to control it. You gotta learn how to turn that shit down and be like, yo, I know you're here to protect me, but it's time for some truth. Otherwise, it will create distortions in your brain you can't even see. Because when I watch him talk to you guys, I could tell when Javon's running bullshit on y'all. He wasn't. I was watching him very close. His ego is fucking him up. And when you guys get your chance, your egos will do the same fucking thing. It's a cold fucking game. I see it all the fucking time. And so there's a need to practice on how to suppress this ego that destroys truth. Keep going.
The smaller you can make your ego, the less conditioned you can make your reactions. The less desires you can have about the outcome you want, the easier it is to see the reality.
That's a powerful ass statement. He said, the less desires you can have about the outcome you want, the easier it is to see the reality. That means you can desire something so much, you are no longer qualified to run your business. You can desire something so much, you start to lie to yourself just to make yourself feel like you're getting closer. You can want something so much, you will create false pain and false disconnections that don't deserve to be in place. Oh, we got more. Next slide. Shabisha, fire off.
No, I'm messing around. The clear example of this is when we're going through difficult things, like a breakup or a job loss or a business failure or a health problem, and our friends are advising us. When we're advising them, the answer is so obvious. It comes to us in a minute, and we tell them exactly, oh, that girl, get over her. She wasn't good enough for you anyway. You'll be happier. Trust me, you'll find someone. You know what the correct answer is, but that person can't see it because they're in that moment of suffering and pain.
Slow down. Say that again. He says, you know what the correct answer is, but the person you're talking to, even though they have the same level of intellect you have, they can't see it because they're in a moment of suffering and pain. Keep going.
They're still wishing that reality was different.
Oh, stop. Isn't that cold? Because you're wishing reality to be different than what it is, you're creating your own fake ass lens. And you're blinding yourself to something you would know for somebody else that fast. Your denial of reality and you wanting reality to be something else, because it should be this as opposed to what it is, you are automatically forcing your brain to play the distortion game. I want y'all, this shit is so cold. Like, it ain't like you're not being a lying asshole that just runs around running game on people because you're trying to hustle. That's not what this shit is about. You don't control it by just being, I ain't gonna tell a lie, everybody, right? You first kind of accept reality for what it is, because as you distort your reality, you cannot see the truth. Keep going.
The problem isn't reality. The problem is their desire colliding with reality is preventing them from seeing the truth, no matter how much you say it. The same thing happens when I'm making decisions. The more of a desire that I have that it work out a certain way, the less likely I am to see the truth.
Oh, keep going.
Especially in business. Mm-hmm. If something isn't going well, I try to acknowledge that publicly, and I try to acknowledge
Acknowledge it
publicly in front of my co-founders and friends and co-workers.
Did you just say what he did? Did you see what he just did? This is the solution to all this shit. When shit ain't going well in your business, stop dressing it up. Stop trying to put lipstick on the pig. Y'all really try to like make fucked up shit sound cool. He said he goes out of his way to say to people, hey, I had a bad week last night. I fucked up. I made some mistakes. Now, that means you're going to have to stop seeing that statement as a sentence. You guys just see it as, my daughter the other day, she said, the NTs, that's our last name, not co-NTs, NT is my last name. She goes, as NTs, we don't quit. And if it doesn't work out right, and we make a mistake, it's just a mistake, because that's part of becoming better. She says it to me all the time, like, because even when I give her, we talk about practice. When she shows me a piece of art, Daddy, what do you think about this? I'm like, yo, your practice is getting better. Not you arrived, right? The language you use towards yourself. And here's the thing, it's going to make you a better parent. Because once you realize that mistakes is not a sentence. When I'm scolding my daughter, I realize she's a human being committing experiments that go wrong all the fucking time. Now, some of you adults call it bad behavior. I call it bad experiments. No, that doesn't work. Right? But once you label it, going to that label game, as bad and good, the curse is that now every time you make a mistake, you feel bad because you did bad. And now you're putting your moral compass on trial. But once you can separate that, every time you make a mistake, it's experiment going wrong. It gives you permission to go out and commit experiments to discover the truth. That's the only way you're going to do it. Business is not about you following, it's not a prescribed game where all the rules are set one way and all you need to do is learn the rules and you can play like chess. The difference between chess is that if in order to change the rules in chess, you have to tell the people playing the rules are going to change. In life, the rules always change. And they're unpredictable when they land. So the only way you're going to master a game where the rules are always changing is you're going to have to experiment and make a lot of fucking mistakes. And so if you could tell yourself when things go wrong in your business, it's just a bad experiment. I need to share this with everybody. Now you're moving in reality. If you say, yeah, it went bad, but it's just, you know what, it ain't just all that. Look, last week I did really good, actually. And matter of fact, I seen other people do worse than me, and I'm still up. You just set your brain up in fake make-believe world that now neglects reality, which means you didn't learn shit. You didn't pull in no feedback. You didn't broaden your perspective. You the same ignorant ass Indian that made it the last time. Mistakes come from ignorance, right? And then as you make more mistakes, you gain wisdom from the mistakes, right? But if every time you make the same mistake, you keep repeating the same mistake because you don't learn from it, you now are a professional ignorant ass motherfucker. That's my father coming out of me. That's how my daddy would say it. So you guys go like, learning from your mistakes is where the wisdom comes from, people. Learning to be successful running businesses is a lot of fucking mistakes. You going around trying to celebrate your greatness in the face of your mistakes and your slips and your falls and your weaknesses and your challenges keeps you dumb as shit. And when I sense somebody's like Shakina's been working with me for quite some time. Bless her heart, amen. That was really for me. And in her early stages, just all defensive. I think Shakina, that's a mistake. Well, it was but. The word but was just the key. Anything that came after but was going to be an excuse. But the while she'll tell you, I just stopped telling her anything. I'll watch her falling straight for her face and be like, hey, how'd that feel? You don't want to talk about it? At some point, you get tired of breaking your nose. Why? Because I can't teach you, I can't give you feedback if you are in make-believe land. I don't talk make-believe languages. I'm not a Disney partner. Right? Like, I'm one of them real motherfuckers. So I'm gonna tell you some real shit. Some of y'all be like, oh, that hurts so much. Of course it's supposed to hurt so much. We'll go back to you're supposed to suffer. If it hurts too much, it's probably because you live in fake land so much that I'm pulling you back to earth. And I don't want to be on earth. I want to go back to my make-believe world and where things don't really work out that way. You see where I'm going with this? So your pain is your admittance. You're admitting and you're implying that, hey, I live in my fantasy world. Now, I really don't want to be this real shit. That's why I don't want no feedback from you. I don't want to be real. Now, how come I don't make no money? You mean real money? Well, how much do you have in your make-believe world? What does your make-believe bank account say? Because in the real world, you broke as a motherfucker. Right? That's a big difference. So the first thing you have to do is get comfortable with marrying reality again, as opposed to like you don't see it. Ain't nobody over there. I don't see nothing. Keep going.
That way, when I'm not hiding it from anybody else, then I'm not hiding it from anybody else. If I'm not hiding it from anybody, then I'm not going to basically delude myself from what's actually going on.
So as we play this, Mama, this is something that comes from our oppression. I'm gonna give y'all an oppression link. Y'all grew up in a black, who grew up in a black household? Anybody in this room? Because some of y'all look like y'all grew up in maybe a Chinese black household. I don't know. Some of y'all acting kind of weird right now. Because I don't know how much, some of y'all in fantasy, I got a little Chinese in my blood, so I can't really tell you where I grew up. Anyway, point is this. But remember Mama from old black communities? I'm not sure how old y'all were or did y'all get this. When Mama said, don't take our business outdoors.
Yes.
What did you take outdoors? Some story, some lie, right? You got used to telling people lies all the time because it was the truth for your house. Now you're adult and you still telling lies. That's the truth for you, right? You altering, your lie is now your new truth because you learn to turn. And so that's been something baked into our culture for quite some time. In this entrepreneur game, humility is a motherfucker, man. You didn't catch that mine. You know what I'm saying? As these y'all something like mine. Okay, for my East Coast folks, mine is man. You know what I'm saying? What's up, man? But y'all dig where I'm coming from? Like, it's part of our culture, DNA, which is fake it till you make it. This is why we hate that shit. No, you need to tell the fucking truth. Because if you keep lying to me, you're going to delude yourself. Hey, my numbers ain't cool. My bank account, hey, I ain't never had a savings like that. If somebody asks me for $10,000 right now, I'm going to act like I can't hear, huh? What do you say? Say it. It's okay. Because somebody in the room can probably show you how to make $10,000 tomorrow, but you will never make it because you keep acting like you equal. You know how many times I've been in rooms with people? Oh, this is so famous. Oh, God, this is so famous. So somebody's sitting with me, and they talk to me about some money. I'm like, hey, well, let me give you some insight. I know, which is hindsight bias, right? And the make-believe world. I know. No, I'm just like you. No. And then maybe 2 weeks later, they'd be like, yeah, man, something happened to my car. I needed $1,000, so I had to borrow from my mother. What? Did you just spend 2 hours with me with I know, and I'm on the same level as you, and you just had to borrow $1,000 motherfucking dollars? And I call you out. If you're a man, it's gonna be harsh. If it's a woman, I'm like, what kind of shit you do? Come on, girl, cut that shit out, right? If you're a man, I'm like, what kind of bitch ass shit was that, bro? And the reason I say it that way because I speak harsh to men because men don't really hear that soft talk. Like we don't be like, hey man, you probably need to go to Napa and get somebody to take care of you and get a massage and maybe we can talk about this. Maybe like, maybe you don't shut up, start lying to me with that bull ass shit. We was at this event this weekend. Just side note, had a friend who used to be broke as fuck, but now he got money. And he's sitting in a barber chair and he just, somebody asked me something, I just pay for it. Just show me what the cost is. It's nothing for me. I couldn't take it. I was like, yo, man, if you don't shut your broke ass up, I knew who the fuck you used to be. I remember when you drove that fucking Honda, that was like 6 years ago. You cut that shit out, started acting like you somebody. I know your broke ass. You better not even stay here for fucking long. Cut it out. I had to do it because stop all that fronting. That lying to people, lying to yourself, trying to make yourself feel good, falsifying truth to make you feel valuable, all that shit's gonna make you be devalued. Is that shit cold? Is that shit cold? You can't fake it till you make it. Stop telling yourself your fucking fake ass Disney stories. The shit ain't real. Stop practicing escapism. King Kong ain't got Remember what was the first year? In order to master reality, I started practicing make believe. That was the theme of the first year. In order to master reality, you got to stop practicing make believe. And to this day, that's still one of my major, like it's still an issue. Like this whole class is about how we live and make believe, and we can't grasp reality. Even online social media. You know what I can't see on social media? It's just too much make believe. It's really too much make believe. Last week you talked about putting your business in the make believe sphere. It has its place, right? You got to know how to make it feel if it's space. But sometimes that make believe be so over. You can't even read newspaper articles, right, on social media. Those headlines be just so make believe. Draymond Green gonna fuck up Chris Paul. Oh, by the way, they real friends by the time you read the end of the article. But you be like, I read this because there's gonna be a fight. What? You talking about how they sat and had coffee last week and they was best friends and how they went to college together. What? You know how to clickbait. You know how to do that. So that's what I'm saying. Like at the end of the day, I know this sounds what we're talking about. I know it sounds lightweight. It's not. It's very heavyweight. You have to find the right circle around you. Also, watch out for those friends. Oh, you good. You fabulous. Don't worry about it. Oh my God, you're great. Reduce those friends. Reduce the fantasy land friends. You know what? Let's just go to Napa and say F them and let's go get some drinks. We don't need this. No, we need to sit here and process this. That's the kind of shit you need. Any questions before going to jump in the next portion of the lesson? Okay. How y'all gonna put it, Kaja? Go ahead, Kaja. By the way, Kaja, I know y'all can't see these shoes at home. Kaja don't. Somehow, another one. I don't even know how the hell she find these dope ass shoes.
I've been staring at the ankle part for the whole time. Like, is it separate or connected?
Hey, for the people here, we know what the hell we talking about. But them shoes are so damn cold. I'm like, yo, if I was back in the fashion world, yo, I have to write an article about her shoes. Go ahead, it's the shoes, B.
No. Some of this that you're talking about can be happening to you if you're not the primary driver of it, right? So I just had my most recent event a couple of weeks ago, and this was, I finished doing my data compilation, and for this particular event, I came up in the red. I came up in the black on some others, but this particular one, I came up in the red. So monetarily, I would say it was not a success. Experientially, it was a success. I had the highest ticket sales of all my events. I had the highest percentage of people outside of my demographic market attending. I had the highest attendance of people I did not know. So I felt like I was dealing with the real deal customer versus friends and family that's buying into what you're doing. I had food writers. Everybody enjoyed themselves. People was like, when you doing another one? And in my mind, I was like, I ain't, because relying on the ticket sales as the revenue driver, this is not a financially salient model. I'm just never going to make any money doing it this way. But when I posted, because all I can really get out of this at this point is marketing, which I think there's still some value in that, right? But when I posted, it was exactly that. Girl, you doing it. That looks dope. You getting it moving. You getting traction. Your business looks great. I didn't want to volunteer. I didn't make no money. If you asked me, I wasn't going to lie. But I'm also not going to volunteer that information, and damn near not on social media, because this is a time and a place for everything, and that's not it. But although I was conscious not to buy into that story was being applied, right? I wasn't driving it, but I mean, if that's what you saw, well, it was that. It was nice. It was fabulous. The food was good. The chef was dope. We had a good time. But it was also not a moneymaker. So two things were true, and I guess I just didn't really feel the need to broadcast the truth from what you felt like you saw and you liked.
Okay, first of all, Kaja, can I just say one thing? I love you, man. And the reason I love you is because you Your value that you bring to this class is just amazing. Amazing. There's so much there. I'm just gonna tap a little bit, but there's so much there. Did you discover some things? Yes. Did you do business well? No. Also, when you posted an article, don't blame the crowd. You posted an article, and you should have knew what you were gonna get back. You got to know those things. If you don't, that's also discovery for you, right? So it's discovery. It's not good or bad. It's discovery, right? Because if you say marketing, you don't have nowhere to direct the people. It's not marketing. That's really looking for attention, approval, right? And it's very important to say that because a lot of things in society we do for approval more than we do for marketing. Marketing is, I'm trying to get you to go from A to B, but if I'm trying to get you to see me, that's more or less acceptance and approval, which is all cool because these are all lessons. It's a problem if 5 years from now you're still doing that shit. I'd be like, now I'm gonna unleash my cousin Nana. Okay. so let me separate that. Now, I'm gonna talk about something that Court tapped, but this is so important. This is probably one of the most important things I haven't had a chance to teach. I've been wanting to get to one of my basics, but I'm gonna just throw this one forward because I have a whole bunch of basics. So, you guys paid attention when the Budweiser had the trans issue, and they lost 25% of their market. Let me help you understand. That was similar to 1906 earthquake. You said, "What do you mean?" You got Erykah Badu eyes. That's what it is. Every time I look at you, like Paige, your eyes like Erykah Badu, and I'm like, what? Do I know her? Do I know? Every time I look at her, I'm like, because you know, Eric, Paige, I'm sorry, your eyes, just your eyes, you got the Erykah Badu, and I'm like, why I keep looking at, do I know her? Is she on TV? Where have I seen her? God damn it, your eyes. That's what it's like. It's like, it keeps making me stop and thought like, Erykah Badu. No, it's not Erykah Badu now. No, cut that out. Sorry, Paige, it's just me being me. Okay, so here we go. That was insanely, I don't think it's ever happened in business history. When you're that large of a company, you're usually fighting for 1 or 2% of the market every year. That's all you really want. 1 or 2% of the market translates to billions. That's a lot of fucking money. I think it was like 33, 39. What's how much? How much? For about $40 billion they lost in one campaign run. Okay, because some of y'all don't know what a billion is. That's $40,000 million. 40,000 millions dollars they lost in a weekend. I think I would smoke weed too. Hey, I'd be like, hey, somebody give me some of that cannabis shit. I need some of that, right? 40,000 million in a. Do you understand?
Modelo is number 1 now.
That's insane. Modelo's number 1.
Yeah.
Now the lady who ran it, who was, I think she was head of diversity. Do you know what name she was closed when the doors closed? When the doors closed and she was in the room, what the men may have called her that day? Like, I don't give a shit how you feel about race, social lose $40,000 million and tell me if you can call me Nana. Like, my name gonna start with an M and end with an F. $40,000 million. But let's go over this real quick. So here's something that I want you to pay close. This is very intentional. Like, when I get to the end of this, stop me, take your notes, because this is critical. I just had this conversation with Brownie. Matter of fact, I called Brownie in this same space. So they had a dude from Shark Tank. Yeah, Shark Space. Tell y'all, I never watched that shit because it's for TV. But he's one of the dudes on there. A couple of those dudes on there are actually, a lot of those people on there are pretty heavyweight hitters in business. They know their shit. It's just a show is cut and chopped up, and it's more for entertainment value. But those actual individuals know their shit. He said, what you don't realize is this: Budweiser is not a beer company. Beer is just a commodity. Mm-hmm. They're a branding firm, and if their brand takes a hit, it destroys their company. Shakina, you're not a gym company. The gym is your commodity, your branding company. Kaja, You're not an event company. You're a branding company, and events is your commodity. Your commodity has to be strong, but your commodity is not your fucking business. Too many of you guys, because too many of you guys have built the commodity from the ground up. Because you built it from the ground up, you tie your personality and your personal value to the commodity. So if I tell you stop producing the fucking commodity because you're not running your business, when you are too busy operating on the commodity, you are too busy to see what the customers see. You need slack just to watch the customers, because when you're doing the work all the time, you busy, you don't see all the holes and flaws and who you think you are, your delusion that you created of who you are, as opposed to how you really run your business is invisible to you because you're too damn busy. In business, it's critical to find slack to develop new lenses to see your business, to finally run your fucking business. And in running your business, how do you grow your business so you grow more sources of income attached to your business now? That now your business is doing this event that's generating all these other sources of income, that now these commodities are working together because this brand drives this idea that this brand allows you to do these other things that brings in this revenue, and now I have a business. But some of you have been socialized as workers, and you find pride on working on the commodity. That's not business, people. You gotta navigate. Look, the name of the game is market positioning. Market positioning, right? So when you first jump in the market, even at course level, he still has to have a market position. Am I holding down this market position, and am I preparing to go to the next position? Or am I going to expand my positions, right? But if he's working all the time, he can't see the market positions. It's glimpses. He kind of see it, but he kind of don't. Right? If he falls in love with his commodity, he's running his business like a slave. I'm doing a good job, right, boss? You love my work. I'm known for my work, boss. That's where my value's at, boss. This is why white folks look at you like, yeah, cool, great. Yeah. Because your value is your construction business. Construction is the commodity. You're stuck in the commodity space. How do you figure out systems that allow that business to operate at such an optimal level that outputs a certain quality of, let's say you probably quit 8.5 to 9 every fucking job by these certain talented people plugged into the right system to create this type of output, and now you're focusing on branding, marketing, and expansion.
That's why last week's class on your side was so important, and it ties to this. You know what? I'm not going to say it because knowing you is probably coming up.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Just in terms of priming, framing, anchoring, because that's how you brand. And if you don't brand it, like if you don't think about those things, then you only have your commodity. But people think in terms of branding and how they feel. The product is just a sidebar of how you made them feel overall.
100%. Microphone.
I know this isn't the subject, but can we go into a quick definition of what priming, something, whatever else you said, and framing and anchoring are?
Okay, I'll take it. Oh, you want to do it? You want some of it?
I'll take some of it. I'll take one.
Okay.
Priming. If I'm trying to think of the fastest way that I can prime, to give a prime example. When he talked about the box, they could have shipped that damn MacBook in a cardboard box with a MacBook logo on it. But why did they make it so beautiful? Because they're prepping your mind for the experience, not just the product. Our brains are not real. They create images of what they think is real based on what we see with the eyes. So they'll make up stories. They'll romanticize things. So marketers like us, we use that to our advantage. So priming, it incepts ideas in the customer's mind around your brand that makes them, that puts them in a particular class. And it's probably the number one most important thing you can do in your business. So if you're an event person, when somebody walks into your event and it smells like shit at the door, You could have spent millions of dollars past the door, and they're gonna say, "Man, that event was shitty." If it smells like flowers as soon as they walk in the door, it's gonna create a completely different mindset. So priming, he talked about this last week. It's huge.
Yeah, matter of fact, with your business, email yourself your marketing material. See what it feels like when it comes in. What does it feel like, right? What are all the friction points from the time they hear about your event to get to your event? If you can remove those friction points, you're priming your customer. Then once you remove the friction points, how do you also use those points to shape their experiences and their attitude when they arrive? With words, colors, everything. Walk around the block where your business is going to be at. If there's called the 4-corner rule. If you run a business on this block, those 4 corners are your responsibility. If the business next to you is compromising, figure out ways to shape the experience that when they walk past that building, it complements what you're trying to achieve. Everything goes into priming. The way people dress. Who's the person going to be at the front greeting everybody? That fucking matters. Is a carpet dirty? That fucking matters. Is it windows dirty? That fucking matters. Does it smell? That fucking matters. If you're going to serve food, what does it taste like? That fucking matters. Right? Framing. Framing is this. Framing is, if I tell you, it is a 5% chance if you jump over that rock, you're going to die. You're like, I'm not going to jump over that fucking rock. I can also tell you it's a 95% chance if you jump over that rock, you won't die. There's so many things that people say in this world, if you just change the framing, it changes the meaning. So in marketing, we're always flipping framing to change how people feel about what they do, how they serve you, how they show up every day. Anchoring, MSRP. When they tell you this is the MSRP price, they're giving you a number to start the negotiation from. So one of the reasons you want to always give your numbers fast as fuck, unless you feel like you just don't know how to, if you don't know how to provide an estimate, sometimes you want to just like, how much you gonna pay me? Right? But for the most part, if you're in this game, land your number as fast as you can and land high. And when the person goes, ooh, that's a lot, you set so let's say you want $700, right? You land at 1,000. The person says, oh my God, you said, tell you what, I really like you. I can bring it down maybe 9, but if I play around, I'll probably get around to 850 to 800 for you. Would that make you feel better? Human beings don't care about the price, they care about the discount. So if you could prime the number, we're going to fluctuate within 2 or 3% of that number. But if you don't give me a number and they set the number first, now here's the thing about anchoring. You can also anchor without even talking about the money. Oh man, I just came for this golf game. You know he's paying $100,000 per wins. All right, let's discuss this car. So you're asking for, Jesus, you're asking for what? You want to pay for $50,000? I was thinking closer to like $80,000. I've been priming you about that with that golf game. So numbers, when you're playing the number game, you can put numbers in other spaces, in other conversation. You can say a number 3 or 4 times somewhere else. And here's the cool part. I can tell you I'm anchoring you, but as soon as I finish speaking, and if we go into negotiation, your brain, because it takes place subconscious, you can't stop it. It's the coldest psychological. I can warn you. That's why back in the days, I used to play around. I used to tell people, hey, I'm about to negotiate with you. And I'm trained in negotiation. Are you trained? Because if you're not trained, I'm going to get more money from you than you plan on spending. So are you trained? Oh, I should be okay. And then at the end, they'd be like, you got me for more money, huh? I was like, oh, yes, I did. I told you. But I know subconsciously you can't stop me. That's how dangerous anchoring is. So in businesses, they do it all the time.
There's a question online. This is coming from, so the question is, I'm with you. I can't wait to stop so this is around, let me read it. I'm with you. I can't wait to stop producing my products so that I can work on the business and not in it. But reality is that process requires strong distribution, and that takes time to build. What can someone do in the meantime? Would you suggest outsourcing what can be outsourced to free up as much time as possible?
You first have to develop a solid product. So the commodity has to be developed. Okay, but you got to know that you can't stay there. The problem is that it's a catch-all space. So it's not, you put that question, and I don't know if they did or not, but I'm gonna use that. So who?
Marquita.
Who?
Marquita.
Oh, my girl. Okay. That question was asked, it was asked under the tone of right, wrong, good, and bad. None of that stuff applies. It's a warning to say that you can get into the oh God, your jelly is so good. Oh my God, I love your presentation. Oh my God, you know what? I love to see your smiling face every time. That's why I buy carts of it, right? And now you are married to the commodity. You just got to know, in this stage, where am I going? Is when I hit this number here, as soon as I hit this number here, I'm going co-packing. I'm just trying to get to this number here. So I'm going to do all these different little moves here. But when I get to this number here, oh, I'm out the game. I'm going to put a new Marquita face here. You can even have my face. Like, I'm like Miss Butterworth. You're never going to see me. Right? I switch them up every other week, right? I saw a documentary of Miss Butterworth. Racist as shit. But anyway, what is this? And but what is that? But what happens is, what I've seen with black folks is we get addicted to the praise. We don't get addicted to the process. We get addicted to the value. We don't get addicted to the process. Business is an abstract game. It's a very abstract game. You're moving things. You're making this energy flow of things happening. You're not into this, like, I've seen so many entrepreneurs they struggle. Like, I know this one company right now, this cat's made millions. And when it came time for him to go to the business side, because when he first started his company, he slept in his company every day. That's all he had. So the company built this story about him and his value. All his personal was tied to it. When it came time to run his business, he couldn't, because it took him like 5 years of loss. He almost lost his business because he stayed too close. So he started, I'm talking to these professors up at this university that I'm going to go help them out with. And I was explaining to them that professors have a perspective challenge. They speak through what they provide you. They don't speak to you from what you receive. So a teacher would say, I'm giving you education. They don't say, well, what are you getting from me? Because I might be giving you 10, but you only walk out of here with 2. So then I need to pay attention to, so my tweaks on improving your experiences, looking at the 2, not my 10. Because my 10 may be serving me more than serving you, right? So a lot of times they're able to disconnect from me, this natural egotistical narcissism that we have, we can't pull apart from it, because quite often it's starting to grow as our business grows. Think about how all the praises you got as your business grew, right? Think about all the praises you received from your event, from all the population growth. Think of the praises Court gets, right? Think about how you become known in the city, how if you walk in a room, so the first time when our business started to grow, I would go to clubs and they would announce me at the club. I don't even know these people. I'm looking around like, how do they know me? 5-10 meter in the house. What? Shit. Well, this is going to be an easy night, right? Like, I just keep it real, right? Or the first time I was going, cut it out. Cut it out. So the first night, I hate you, bro. First night I went to go see In Vogue. She came over and started singing to me. And then she called me out. I don't know this lady still this day. I never met In Vogue. So that starts to get to you, right? People look at you like, oh, no, that's what's up. You're like, yeah, man, that's how I'm living out here, man. I just come to town, that's how I be sometimes. But anyway, I see you, girl, right? Because it feels good. Yeah, you slapping me. So, but what I'm saying is that shit gets to you. And now you got to go into a role that's invisible. You're no longer, nobody's seeking you out no more. People say, I want photography, where Cola at? We want designs, where Danielle at? We want insights. Is Shabisha still around? Hey, we need to speak to somebody in the company. Can we speak to Tanil? Ain't nobody asking for me. Now I'm building big relationships that's allowing big things to happen. And I'm out there framing, and I'm also talking to Michelle about, let's move to the left a little bit, move to the right. This does, got to change this. Our attitude here is wrong. This paper doesn't look right. I could have seen that when I was busy. It's like, if You ever had a messy house for a long time? And then you go on vacation, you come back, you be like, this truth is getting real tonight, That's a whole truth choir over there. But the reality is that then you come back or you break or something happens where there's a break in the rhythm, you realize, holy shit. Your businesses are running like your dirty houses. And you can't tell because you're too fucking busy. And it's functional. Your sheets are not dirty, maybe, and maybe you wash your clothes, and maybe you keep your food safe so you don't get sick. But you really don't want your mama coming by. You really don't want a new date stepping in, right? And the reason for that is because, and that's what happens when you're busy all the time. It happens in. See something. 1 second. Yeah, I'll try not to do this. It even happens in, okay, I'm gonna give y'all one more. Can I give you one more? It's okay if I give you one more? Mm-hmm. Okay. Another basic. I didn't want to do this one. This was the one I want to save for next week. Consistency fucking matters. Let me help y'all out because y'all think it's simple. If you do something great for somebody and you don't do something for a long time again and you do it great again and you don't do it again, or you do extremely great for somebody, let's say I buy my nephew a nice car, but I don't never fuck with him again. I'll never show up to none of his events. Don't take his phone calls. But next time I see him, I take him to dinner. Am I surprised he says, "You never done anything for me"? All forms of growth, all forms of evolution comes from consistency. Some of y'all getting this business shit looking for highlights. I worked hard last night. Somebody should see me. I put some hard work in. I'm sweating. Consistency is the only thing that matters. Come home some nights for dinner, other nights you don't make it home for dinner. Your kids say, "Daddy was never around." Consistency. Go to the gym right now and have the best workout of your life. Sweat your ass off and then go back 3 months later. No results. No consistency. Everything that you value requires consistency. Too many of you guys, because this ego thing, get into this story of, remember that time I did this for you? No, don't give a fuck. Whatever. You're in a relationship and you cook sometime. Oh, my wife don't cook. Now, you might say, well, Nana, what about those times I can't cook? This is where the consistency come in, where you say, hey, tonight I know I can't cook. Is it okay if you do this? Because you understand the necessary consistency. I'm going to read this dope-ass business book. That one book, that's it? Man, save yourself some goddamn time. Go to Disneyland. If you ain't always reading, there's no value in reading. Consistency. Consistency is a necessary. I can't tell you. You got to clean the kitchen every night. You don't get to clean it when you feel like it. You got to. Okay, let me make it simple for some of y'all might be like, I don't know. You wipe your ass every night, hopefully. If you're not, I'm going to call you a stinking ass, right? With your broke ass.
Oh, my God!
That's too much of personality for me. But basic in business, when you get in business, it's a lot of consistency, and that consistency gets hard. It gets boring sometimes. Sometimes you have to do the same shit for 380 to 400 days. Because guess what? No one's caught on to it yet. Imagine if you're at a restaurant, you know how much you have to cook that same ass shit all the time? It's new to you, not to that cook. But if it's inconsistent, it's trash. If Marquita makes that jelly one day and is inconsistent, she lost those customers.
I went to Le Cheval after years of going to Le Cheval. Not going. Been like through COVID, I didn't go. So I ordered my regular. It was off by a little bit. I ain't been back to Le Cheval since. Because psychologically, that's just what your brain does.
Consistency. Friendships. You don't get to be friend when you feel like it. Show when you feel like it. Be there when you feel like it. Be cool when you feel like it. Like, have you ever been around people that's just inconsistent with their attitude? Don't you want to just fire them motherfuckers? Consistency. And yet, you forget that's how life works. Business is a whole bunch of consistent things you have to do back, and then you tweak them to improve the consistency, right? And it's these gradual changes, but you can't dib and dab and here and there. Don't call that business time. Call that discovery time. And that's cool. If you have a discovery point in your life and you're just all over the place, I tell most people that's under 25 or under 30 even, it's okay if you're in 100% discovery. You don't do shit for more than a week. That's fine. You're discovery. But once you say this is what the fuck I'm doing, consistency. And you measure yourself within that consistency. So I don't even adopt shit if I can't be consistent. He might come to you like, you should get on this crazy ass diet that don't make no goddamn sense besides to them. The first thing I think is, can I do that every day? Fuck no. I'm not doing that diet. Oh, we should go work out and go run 20 hills every week. I'm never going to do that every week. No. Now, do I push myself? Yes. But it's to my level of consistency. If my workout gets to a point I can't be consistent, I'm done with it. That's why when new guys come and train with me and they're training from guilt because they feel like, oh my God, I got to lose my stomach. I remember I used to be a superstar in high school. No, let's go run these hills. Psh, take your fast by yourself. And guess what? They never hear for this stuff alone. Why? Because they're not playing the consistency game. They're playing I'm going to beat myself up because I feel bad about being this size. I don't really care about that shit. I know people who slowly worked out. I'm talking about they was working out. You would say, oh, they ain't no workout, but they were consistent. And if you found them 5 years from now, they finally got to a nice weight and they maintain that weight comfortable. It's just part of their life. And they live their life. Because you don't get to lose 30 pounds and it just stays off. If you lose 30 pounds, that's a new lifestyle. So you can't say, oh, I'm going to lose this weight. No, losing 30 pounds, that's a new lifestyle. You don't get to start a business and say, I'm going to do this business thing. No, that's a new lifestyle. You don't get $1 million and just stay at $1 million. You got to move like you're going for $3 million. You don't have a child because I'm having a baby. Oh my God. That's a lot of fucking consistencies. That's a new lifestyle. For the first time, your heart's going to live outside of you. You don't get married or in a relationship and think you're going to be able to do that single man shit, that single woman shit. It's a whole bunch of consistencies. Everything that you want in life comes through this pathway of consistency. And yet when you, look, man, I know somebody, this one brother I'm working with, I don't call people names ever. Yo, I'm going to see you at the gym next week, right? Sometimes you show up, sometimes you don't. Bruh, cut that shit out. You know how Oakley, we run around here like, yo, Shkino, yo, hey. You know, I'm going to fuck with you. I'm going to come through next week. Don't promise if you can't show up, period. Because guess what happens? If money comes through me and money moves past me all the time, I'm going to fuck with you? No, I don't trust you. I don't trust you. You're not consistent in nothing I've ever seen you do. Inconsistency erodes your trust. If it erodes your trust is the path, it's a pipeline that money moves back and forth through. There's nowhere for the money to go when you're around. I don't trust you enough. I'm not sending money your way. I don't even want to fuck with you. I'm never going to invest in you. You're not consistent. Human beings don't respect inconsistency. No, this game is about consistency. Stop saying you want to be an entrepreneur and you're inconsistent as fuck. Stop saying you want to be a parent, you're inconsistent as fuck. Stop saying you want a relationship and you're inconsistent as fuck. Stop saying you want a better life if you're inconsistent as fuck. Take what you get. With your broke ass.
There's 2 online questions.
Go ahead.
One is, as an artist, how do you avoid being the face when you're the face? That's one question.
I think, first of all, I need them to define that phrase as an artist, because that phrase is loaded. Yeah, that's loaded.
I think musician.
Even as a musician, I think you can look at Quincy Jones, right? You can look at Gianni Versace, right? Like you, at some point, you move to build a house, a culture, a system. Motown, Puff Daddy, right? At some point, they built. How many times can you thump that guitar, baby? Right? How many albums will you just sell by yourself? At some point, you have to have multiple streams of income, right? You want to have optionality in a world where your customers are fickle. So at some point, your music is a commodity. But at some point, you build systems around you. What about building shows? What's a dancer name?
Alvin Ailey.
Alvin Ailey, yeah. Yeah. This is bad. I'll say Alvin Ailey or what about Nutcracker? I was like, you can't put those two back to back. Anyway, what is this? Can you do splits like that? You cracking something. Anyway, what is this? Okay, my mind has got weird comedy, but the point is this. You got to think about your art becoming a system. What do you think Hollywood is?
Well said.
Right, what is Disneyland? It's an artist expanding themselves.
The second question is around anchoring. Do you have tips on anchoring a client at a high number without scaring them? Some clients don't understand that negotiations can happen next.
Okay, two things to it. Don't position yourself with bad clients. If all your clients get scared at any price, but any price that's below, then that means two things could either be happening. And this is a depend. I'm only throwing out suggestions, and that person has to give me more information. And that's why some of these people should come to class if they can, or somehow we got to be able to like ask more questions. But sometimes you're just not good enough yet. So your pricing is low because it's your training period. You're getting paid to train, right? Once you get past the pay to train stage, and you can perform a quality branded, you can provide a quality branded commodity. Then at this point, are you aiming your guns at the right market? If you're aiming at the wrong market, you will have a horrible experience. Number three, you may have a horrible upsell of your value. You might be moving through entitlement, not value upsell. So what is your value proposition? Are you positioning your value product to a point that people say to themselves, oh shit, I spend money for that, right? Or are you positioning yourself in a way that people are literally sending you doing just straight comparisons? Well, he's selling it for this much. That means your branding sucks. So raise your brand to the point that, like, for example, if you went to, say, your son went to Steph Curry basketball, and Steph Curry's going to be here quite often. Steph Curry's brand is so fucking huge. If you find out Steph Curry camp costs 10 grand more than everybody else, you're not going to talk to Steph Curry about that. Now, if Jordan Poole tries to charge the same price, you be like, bruh. Hey, man, if you don't bring that shit down to $50, come on, bruh. Because you ain't teach your defense. Come on, man. So anyway, I'm sorry. I ain't shit. Okay, give him the microphone. Get that one in. Bruh.
That was hilarious. I wanna cycle back through what you had said earlier. It was stuck in my head, and I have a question. Basically, you was talking about the experiences that a teacher would give their student, and even if the teacher said it's a 10 out of 10, the student may receive a 3 out of 10, and you was like, so I guess my question I'm trying to frame here is, how can I get a better experience out of the people I'm trying to serve with my commodity if they're not willing to give me that feedback to help me give them a better experience?
I would let Shakina answer this question because she probably can answer this question with such depth and perfection. I ain't gonna let you. I'm gonna do it. Okay, but Shakina can answer this question with perfection. You're not making it comfortable. Feedback. So feedback. You have to design an environment that encourages and makes feedback feel like it's going to improve the experience. If feedback feels as if but yeah, what I didn't have. See, what happened was, if excuses follow feedback, if defense follows feedback, if comparisons follow feedback, if you broke. It follows feedback. Anything that follows feedback besides, yo, thank you so much. I need that. And you're going to make our company so much better. Thank you for your contribution. And like really show how they're part of the story you're trying to build. But it's something you're doing. It could be your individual way of talking. You got to get somebody close to you, be like, yo, yeah, it's kind of hard to talk to you, bro. So Court was humbler than Shakina, but Court roars. He doesn't do as much as he used to. But in our early stages of our friendship, he roared. He never said don't give him feedback. But Court, like, he'll fuck you up. so then you'd be like, do I really want to do this? And if I say that to myself, that's a friction point. Now, if you talk to Court now, he literally, he's the same dangerous lion. But he shows up like with peace and his palms open. Like, yo, hey man, help me out. Peacefully. I got a lot of big lions in my world that could tear your head off. They're hella fighters. They're designed for the wilderness. Are they big ass wolves? Kevin, Irk the jerk, right? He works out with me. He's a fucking lion. Like, that dude's really, he can be really on the opposite asshole. He's with the shit. But when he's with me at the gym, he's like a Buddha, like he's like a new what's the monks? He's like a monk. You got to know how to show up to the world to make them feel comfortable to approach you. And it's something you're doing, even over bragging or saying things like, yeah, my business is doing good. I'm so happy. This is everything to me. I mean, like, I can't believe I'm here at this event. This is the most powerful thing that's ever happened to me. I mean, I've never had anything like this in my family. Okay, you want to give me feedback? No. No, that's too much. I'd be damn about to tear down your world, right? Sometimes also send a third party. I remember Kingston 11 when it was open, and they just come to me like, hey, what do you think about my food? I said, I'm gonna lie to you. He said, why? Because you're the fucking owner. Stop asking me this shit. I ain't gonna tell the owner your shit sucks. I don't feel like dealing with that. I want to get the fuck up out of here now. The food tastes bad, right? It did taste bad. But I'm saying that's. But if you send the waitress out to me and say, "Hey, is anything we could have did better?" I might have a little more comfort to say, "I really didn't like this here," or this when this arrived. Why'd you give me this shit, right? And so you got to think about like providing feedback is so fucking uncomfortable. You have to go out your way to create comfort for the customer to give you the proper feedback so you can see how the customer sees your product, because what you give is not what people receive. It's just what it is. Like, how many times have you seen that sister or that brother who go home and prepare that great tasting cake, except your cake, you understand me? Don't forget my birthday, September 28th. But outside of you, Kaja, because Kaja's cake, for those of you at home, it's just too bad you don't be here. And if you show up and that cake is only one cake, I ain't sharing shit. But anyway, hey, am I lying? That cake's cold? Woo! Hey, like, I don't even like cake like that, right? I like fancy cake shit, right? Kaja takes me back to the time when Mama and them took my grandparents. Yes. Did you have Auntie Lisa's cake? Yes. And everybody be like preaching and passing out and testifying and having emotion. When your aunties even shout across the floor, you're like, talk about cake?
It's like the cake that used to be on your grandma's table where it was always there and you just go cut a slice. God. It's like that cake.
Oh my God. It's so hey, I don't like cake like that, but I'm on some real shit to say that if you leave me out this cake, I'm gonna be hurt. But poison, so okay. But how many times have you seen people make cake and they put their sweat, blood, and tears, and that's just trash? Your sweat, blood, and tears didn't make it taste better, people. Your hard work doesn't make whatever service you provide better. If it doesn't, quit, it doesn't fit, you must have quit. So in the words of O.J. Simpson, but no, what I'm saying is that if it doesn't align with your customers, it's trash. Right, Johnny Cochran, yeah, whatever. Johnny Cochran. But anyway, what's this? But if it doesn't align with your customer's desire, I don't give a fuck how much hard work you put into it, how beautiful you think it is, how many stories you wrapped around it. It sucks. That's why I was telling you last week, like, yo, what I feel, what I want to do, when somebody's making you a bad cake, it's what they feel, that's what they want to do. It's just too bad it sucks. Right? So, okay, we got to get out of here. God damn. Okay. Any more questions before we go home?
Not online.
Huh?
Not online.
Can we get online? Anybody in the house? Any more questions about business and commodity, framing, anchoring, priming? Trust me, that framing, anchoring, priming, if you get that shit down, if black folks start doing framing, anchoring, priming, and here's the thing, one thing I can tell you about Shakina that's hella tight. Shakina, when she first started, she started off as a broke ass. It's okay. She was broke. She was broke. She was broke. Like she was broke. But her business was clean. She took time and put thought into her business. Where you ever seen hipsters where you go into a place and they make it look like it's old, it's new, it's kind of cool because what do you call it? Shabby chic. Okay, I never heard that word. It like
He's like, I'm not using that.
Okay, Scooby-Doo-ish, right? so I'm changing words. Right? But I'm not using that. I can't get away with it.
If you say shabby chic, I'm never gonna let you live it down.
No, that's like no. Okay, if a woman brings me lotion, it's cool. He bring me more lotion. Yo, like he got mad that I said it to him. You see that? Like, the man rule said don't even say it about him. But anyway, point is this. So anyway, online we had this discussion. Men don't ask men for lotion. Now some of y'all might be different, but Oakland men don't ask men for lotion. Anyway, point is this. But anyway, we go back to this point. Where was I at? Okay, so Shakina had this very Scooby-Doo-ish space where her place, like when you went inside, you forgot it wasn't here because you saw the focus of I have pride in my business. And you saw her constantly working on things to upgrade the experience every week. And when she finally got a new space, I went there when she's under construction. I said, "Nah, check out these plug covers." Do you understand how hard it is for me to give a fuck about plug covers? Until she told me she spent the night before spray painting them a certain color so they all have a consistency that fits her style. That's priming, actually. Because when a customer comes in, they may not consciously see it, but they can feel the difference. And so when she says, so mind you, her prices is higher than Urban Fitness, which is in Jack London Square. She's in Oakland Hills, he's in Jack London Square. Urban Fitness has a bigger gym, more trainers in there. She charges higher prices. She's priming the fuck out of her customers. If she didn't prime, she'd be at your school. On the weekends, I train some people, but I gotta go to school for some shit. So I just fuck with you, Debbie. So the point is that if you guys get the priming game down, framing, take conversations out there and look at the other side of the conversation as you talk to your customers, right? And then anchoring. Start coming with prices. Push your customer to an uncomfortable space, even if they come down to, let's say you the customer and you know you're gonna do 300. You start at 500. Even if you're comfortable with 300 and you get to 300, you just told them that you're working with the $500 man. You see the difference? But if you start at 200, you go to 300, they're doing you a favor. You see the difference? See how they're gonna treat you? You might get your money 2 months from now. 500, they're gonna pay you with a tip because they feel honored to be in your space because we as human beings, we're always seeking status. You see the difference? This is cold game, but this is just the beginning of the game. Like the more you stay with me, I got some shit for you. But this is the entry level that we don't talk about in Black community is priming, anchoring, and framing. You're gonna hear that for the rest of your life. There's even psychological priming, anchoring, framing. When you try to manage your staff, when you try to manage your family, there's ways you can go in the household and announce something and change the way people respond to it based on how you announced it. That's how you announce it. If my wife can't cook, she say, "Hey babe, tonight I probably won't be able to cook." All right, she just primed me different. I go, "Okay, cool, I'll go to the restaurant." Let her call me after dinner time is over, like, "Oh, I'm sorry I couldn't cook." Same excuse. Timing mattered. So this game of human interaction, this is why you have to be into reality, because when you're in make-believe, you won't see all these moments of cues and decision points. You're missing them because in your make-believe world, everything's great. And Goofy's coming over with Princess Cinderella. Like, oh, shut your ass up with your broke ass. See the difference? All right, as they say in Chinese Disneyland, I'll see y'all next week. Yeah.
She said, "Can you ask for shea butter? Is that okay?"
Hell no.
Shea butter is no too.
No, no.
Okay,
Only thing you can ask for. This is one thing you can ask for. If you in a mechanic shop and they're using that stuff to clean the grime off your hand, like you ever seen that the white cream? It's an orange cream. No. It's because you can't get the grease off. Oh, and if you go on shooting and you need the wipes to remove the gun dust, that's okay. But you better not. Can I get some lotion? And if that shit's sitting, I know you wear lotion for your partners all the time. Anyway, all right. With that being said, see y'all later on. Peace.